Hello and welcome to the Old Man Orange Podcast. I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
I'm Ryan Dunigan.
And we are here back for another good old time of podcasting joy.
I want to actually pull back the curtain for a minute. Right now, you're currently in the process of changing studios, and it might be a little while before you actually get internet. So I might be taking a little bit of a break from the podcast, unfortunately. But right now, what you're doing is tell the listeners what you're doing right now.
You want to hear my lovely story of like my internet dilemma?
Not that. No. We've already had enough. Like fucking Skype. We already had enough of that.
No. Like physical internet. Like why I can't get internet. I got this lovely email from Comcast when I asked them to transfer my internet from one office to the other, and then I got this email last night. They're like, "Hello, Mr. Holmes. Sorry, we're not able to install your Comcast for your new business site." They go, "The install service is going to cost $52,000, $759.72. I like how they got down to the cents. That's my favorite part.
Yeah.
So it's going to cost me a cool, or not me, it's going to cost them a cool $50,000. And they say, well, we won't be able to cover the cost of the installation.
I don't understand how it costs that fucking much. That's more than what Clerks cost to make.
Yeah, it's more than what a lot of movies cost to make. The weird thing about that, too, is like I understand that those wires are expensive. I don't think they're that fucking expensive, though. That should be the cost of setting it up for like an entire like
block
shopping center, yeah, or block or something like that for one little business. And the weird thing, too, is I want to say that there's a guy that's about across the street who's got Comcast. I'm pretty darn sure. Maybe he doesn't, but...
Well, a lot of times they don't want to drive not all the times, but from what I hear, a lot of times they don't want to drive all the way up there. So it's sometimes more cost efficient just to say, no, we're already making more over here rather than send someone all the way up there. So I hear a lot of the times they just don't bother looking, but if you twist their arm long enough, they'll come check it out. At least that's what I heard about like AT&T and other internet companies around there.
Well, this one, a guy actually came by and looked. Oh, so that wasn't that dilemma. It was like somebody came out, they did the survey, they checked it out. That guy seemed like, oh yeah, probably be pretty good to go, but I'll just let you know when we get back to the headquarters. Oh, okay. And then a couple days later, they give me that email. And it's just like, really? Come on, guys.
That's a bunch of fucking bullshit. Yeah, no. Well, so until then, what are you doing right now? Where are you recording this? I like this part.
Oh, you like this part? I came back to the other office because I knew I still had my free internet because the guy gave me a month for transferring it. So I came inside. I was like, I still got the keys. Open up the door. There's nobody in here. The other guy that had the other part of the office, some of his junk's still here. So I'm like, okay, so nobody's come in yet. I was really afraid that I was going to walk in and somebody's going to be like setting up their new office and be like, don't mind me. Just come by and plug it up. We do a podcast here. Don't worry about that.
So you're squatting, basically, is what you're doing. You're podcast squatting.
I really am podcast squatting right now. I am sitting on the floor even, and it's slightly uncomfortable, but that's okay.
You know what? This is actually kind of... podcast is still new enough, so you don't really hear a whole lot of these, but this is actually almost kind of like punk rock podcasting. Like, yeah, man, we couldn't get internet where we're at, so we had to go break into abandoned buildings to record, mooch off others' internet, you know?
Well, technically our internet, but, you know, we're not really paying for it anymore.
It's pretty fucking metal, right? You know?
But yeah, so that's where I'm stuck in my dilemma. And now it's like, I gotta go ask somebody else for internet. Then they're gonna charge an installation fee, and then it's almost like, okay, I don't have the money for that at the moment. It's like, you know,
I feel so useless in these situations because I see you kind of like, cause it's all recorded on your end. I mean, I have a microphone, I'm talking in the Skype, but all the control panel stuff is from your end. So I always feel so bad and so useless when you're just like, all right, let me set that to 180. This over here. God damn it, this isn't working. And I'm just sitting there on my phone like, is it on yet? No? Okay. Go back to my phone.
Look at the funny Wookiee on the screen.
Yeah. Dude, did you see this link I sent you?
Did you finally
get... What happens when Jedi play rock, paper, scissors? Got his arm cut off.
They finally released the official Terminator trailer. Did you see that? I think I sent it to you.
You sent it to me. Yeah.
What'd you think of that one?
Well, you know what? I'm looking forward to it regardless. I know it's probably going to be PG-13, and I see they're pulling a lot from the original. But I guess they're doing the X-Men Days of Future Past thing. It looks like they're almost trying to restart it entirely by going back in time even further. So now when Kyle Reese goes back in time, it's all it's new John Connor. It's always a new John Connor.
I
But
don't know
when
why
Kyle Reese
they
goes,
should have just kept Edward Furlong. He literally aged perfectly for those movies. In
he
T2,
had
he was like 10 years old or whatever. By the time Terminator 3 came out in 2001, he was perfectly like early 20s. That's what the character was. And then by the time the fucking Christian Bale one came out, like fucking Edward Furlong was like in his 30s. Come on.
no, like I see Arnold Schwarzenegger pulling up to him. Come with me if he wants to go to a rehab. That's basically what happened. He's been in rehab for like when they were going to get him for Terminator 3, but he was in rehab.
I know.
And then by the time number 4 came around, they're like, Edward who? Oh, Bale's big. Everyone loves Bale, so throw him in there.
Yeah, Bale sells. He's Batman.
Yeah, Bale sales. So, and now they got the guy. I forget his name, but he's already been in a good handful of things, and he's getting bigger. He was in Zero Dark 30. He wasn't the main brother, but he was like the other. He was one of the 3 brothers in Lawless, and he was also the main character in whatchamacallit, in Planet the new Planet of the Apes movie. So,
Oh, okay. Huh.
so he's playing the new John Connor. This one, it looks more like, it looks like there's a story going on like in the future, but it looks more like it's another time travel story. And for me, it's one of those things like, I still want to see the movie, but why don't we just move forward? Why do we got to keep on changing it? Why do we got to keep on kind of going back to the past by this point? I know Terminator started off as a time travel story, but what's cool about it was you wanted to see it get to the future. Now we're in the future, but we keep going to the past. So it's kind of like, why don't we just move forward and, you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, when I was a kid, Terminator was my favorite movies ever because obviously it has Arnold Schwarzenegger in it, so that's probably like the given. But the movie itself so good. But I always the coolest parts to me was whenever they show the future scenes. Like in the first Terminator, when fucking Kyle Reese falls asleep and he has that dream of the future and whatnot. It's like, I just couldn't wait. I'm like, dude, that's the movie they got to do. Is just all the future stuff. And then in Terminator 2, the very intro, when it's got all the Terminators fighting, and then you got the spaceships coming by, or I guess they're not spaceships, but Terminator ships, yeah. And I was like, that's the thing. That's got to be the whole movie. Is like in the future. Let's get there. And then Terminator 3 came along, still didn't do it. And once again, they're all good movies. But one thing I guess, because I know a lot of people don't like Terminator 4, but what I really loved about that movie, though, it was like, that's what I always wanted to see. It was a movie that took place the whole time in the future. And that's
number
what I thought was
4,
really cool.
It's not the best one, but I think it's an underrated one. I think it's probably out of the 4, it's probably the 3rd best of them. I think number 3 is the weakest one. I
think that too. It's one of those ones like, I think the main thing about 4, I will say this, I think if Arnold Schwarzenegger was in it, I think that would change everybody's opinion about that movie.
Yeah, at that point, I just kind of assumed we probably wouldn't see Arnold in Terminator movie for a while, so I just went in there kind of ready for that. And plus, there's very little reason to see him by that point because it's still the early stages of the war, and he's a robot. You got to see robot endoskeletons. That works. But at least we got a little cameo.
He was governor in that too, so I knew he was not going to be in the movie, and I just kind of accepted it. And I think maybe that's why I liked it so much, is because we accepted it. We knew what we were getting into.
And you see they got kind of like old Arnold versus young Arnold in this new one. And I kind of see what the guys on Arnold fans were talking about. Now they said, like, for a second I just thought like Sarah Connor's dad was a Terminator, and they didn't realize, like, okay, well, I guess a Terminator went and killed her family. Then he's like, I am your new dad now, or whatever. So he was training her for war, as opposed to just kind of going out like, be back at 6 o'clock, dropping her off like at her fucking like boyfriend's house.
That's like when I first heard it, I'm like, man, that is a perfect sitcom in itself. The Terminator sitcom. Just
robot dad.
Yeah, literally, like when one of the boyfriends screws up, he just takes him out back. It's just like, your time's over now. Just shoots him with a shotgun in the head.
Like, what if he just like sitting there like,
Daddy, what was that? Don't mind this.
No, he's all like, he just is like, all right, I'm gonna go get ready, and then so it's that awkward thing with the dad and the boyfriend are sitting across from each other and like, so what makes you think you could date my daughter? We just kind of skip that altogether. He's just like, all right, Dad, I'll be right back. Rows up the stairs. He just stands there. So, sir, it's nice. He just pulls out a gun, shoots him, just like drags him to a pit in the backyard. Starts burying
just a bunch of other boys out there.
What happened? He says, like, he said you were ugly. Asked him to leave politely.
I would love to see that, though. But no, I really think that Terminator 5 trailer looks great. I can't wait. I mean, I'm so excited for next year for the fact that really all my favorite series have a new one coming out. You know, we got new Star Wars, new Jurassic Park, a new Terminator.
Mm-hmm.
Jurassic Park still being the one I think I'm most excited for because, as I said, we've only had 3 Jurassic Parks. So we at least had 4 Terminators and 2 TV show or 1 TV show. Mm-hmm. You know, Star Wars we've had quite a bit too, and you know, Jurassic Park. A 4th Jurassic Park. That almost seemed like it was the unheard of thing because there were so many years that went by where we were like, oh, Jurassic World or Jurassic Park 4, and you're just like, yeah, okay, that's gonna happen, but I don't know, they might not do it. And then Michael Crichton died, and that was almost the point where like, well, I guess Jurassic Park 4 is not happening now.
I like how there a lot of times will be like, out of respect of the departed, we will not be making this movie for another year. We're gonna wait.
Yeah, whoa! We already spent a good couple $1 million on pre-production already.
Look, what's the company that made Jurassic Park? The actual
Universal?
company? No, the actual company within the universe.
Oh, Engine.
Like, look, would Engine stop making Jurassic Park after John Hammond died? No, they wouldn't. Why should we stop when Michael Crichton died?
Exactly, just all those guys sitting in the room.
I think you got the wrong moral of the movie. Like, no, Engine's the good guys, right? Like, no, Engine's bad. Like, really? I thought they just want to make joy. No, they want to make a lot of money at the expense of human lives. Yeah. Well, that's what we do, right? That's you know.
That's good. Right?
Yeah, right?
They all look at each other like, everybody agrees, right? Yeah, we all agree. Sounds like a good thing. Children need dinosaurs in their life. Yeah, a couple of them are going to get eaten along the way, but, you know, tell me this. If your best friend got eaten by a dinosaur, wouldn't you have been so excited that you at least saw a dinosaur? Even if it was right in front of your own eyes. You sat there and watched him through a cage get eaten by a velociraptor in front of you. It was sort of traumatic, but at the same time you were like, can I pet it?
The guy's like, yeah, see, Phil agrees. Shit, I'll watch my kids get eaten by a dinosaur.
You don't get it?
I'll watch my kids get eaten by a dinosaur. I don't give a fuck. Sign me up. I want to.
As long as you give me a cowboy hat and I can ride on the back of a Tyrannosaurus Rex, I'm damn happy.
Right, it's my mansion made of cocaine. Yeah.
Or me and the T-Rex snort cocaine together and fuck hookers.
All the Universal, like CEOs and execs are all like pounding the table, chanting "Engine."
The Native American guy walks by, he's like, "What are you all shouting at?" No, not you. You get back over there. You know, we don't need you for the next movie. We already did it. When is the time for Lone Ranger movie? Yeah, about that. We got a guy for that.
We're good. Don't worry.
We got a guy we could trust. Just cold stares across the way. Boy, these guys in the office are so horrible. I'm glad they really cut the fucking Lost World scene out.
Where it kills the family and the dog.
Well, that scene too. Well, there's a deleted scene that's in the Lost World on the DVD and the Blu-ray, where it just shows a bunch of those executive guys sitting in an office and whatnot, talking about like their plans for the next park. You know, pretty much. Well, that first one was kind of a failure, but we'll get it right the second time.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I kind of.
So you got to see one of the execs get eaten by a baby dinosaur, by a baby T-Rex.
Yeah.
So there is some joy right there, and I like how even in that scene they're not like doing it kind of like it's scary. They're like dun 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 dun. This guy's like, like rolling on the ground, bleeding. The fucking dinosaur, the fucking T-Rex, like go fuck, like looks at the baby for a second, like nods him, like yeah, fucking get him. That jumps on him is as he's screaming for dear life.
T-Rex just winks at the camera.
Yeah.
You want to see this guy die.
Gives thumbs up with little like T-Rex paws, like little iris zooms in. Da-da-da-da-da-da.
Hey.
We don't have that moving speech by John Hammond at the end.
I do feel like it's one of those ones in Jurassic Park World. It's just it's like, well, John Hammond died now, so I guess it's time to make the new park. We've been waiting for years for this.
You just see like John Hammond's on his deathbed, like the children are around. Same with like in like close family members and friends. And then then you see all the execs, like they're all close. Like, don't worry, you'll you had a nice long life, and you see all the execs behind smiling, just they're all like in the back of the room just smiling and nodding, like, yeah, you had a great life. Come on, let's wrap this up, Let's
And
make
then
it happen.
he's like, one last request. I'm just glad that all the dinosaurs are living on their own and safely away from humans. And then the Zek's like, not yet, just comes riding out on a velociraptor to the room. Thing knocks over half the things. John Hammond just goes, oh! Has a heart attack, passes away, just like, oh, I thought I'd be excited we had a raptor in here.
I named him Yoshi.
The raptor just starts gnawing on his leg. The guy ran
It's compost. He's going back to the earth. Just drags him into the fucking backyard.
The raptor just goes to the corner, just takes a shit. See, it's already doing it.
I thought it'd be an egg. But whatever.
If it was an egg, then I could take it and throw it at somebody.
Yeah. Bad Yoshi. Bad Yoshi. No, but going back to the Terminator for a second, though. That right there, I see it's a movie trying to do a lot of fan service because they had the T-1000 in there. You saw a lot of hunter killers. It's young Sarah Connor and young Kyle Reese. So it looks like it could be a good movie. I just kind of would prefer. I mean, I'm guessing what it's going to be. Maybe I'm wrong here. I'm guessing it's going to be one of those things kind of like in X-Men Days of Future Past. It was fine because it was more than anything a time travel movie anyway. But I'm guessing it's going to be one of those things where beginning, future, very end, future, and the most of it in the middle takes place in the past. That's what I'm guessing. It's going to be something like that, which that could still be a good movie. But I'm kind of hoping. I mean, I'm wondering if any of the characters aside from the three we all know are actually going to even be like. Well, let me put it: the three we all know. If any of the other characters from like number 4 are even going to come over into this movie. Because that seems like the thing. They sometimes try to reboot it and just kind of like pass it off. Like, not a big deal. Like, we're number 4. They're presented a bunch of new characters. And now, are we going to be in this one? They're not even going to be there at all? Or what's
They're just going to kind of like go, yeah, 4 didn't really. What happened, but it wasn't that important. It's like a side story.
Yeah. Like, there's the character played by Blood Moon Good. There's a character played by Common. Bryce Dallas Howard played John Connor's wife from the 3rd movie. Sam Worthington died, so he won't be back in it. But so I'm wondering, if because they already got a different guy playing Kyle Reese in this one as well. So I'm wondering if they're gonna have any just care. There's that cute little black girl that was kind of like Kyle Reese's sidekick. I was wondering if she's older and she's grown up. Is there gonna be any of these characters passed on to this 4th one? You know what I mean?
I hope there is. I hope it does carry on at least a couple of them.
Because it always just seems like so half-assed, and they just abruptly just those characters you're building up, gone, not here. Like, even though I think G.I. Joe, 2, I mean, I wasn't expecting Casablanca or shit or anything like that, but it did that kind of thing where it's like, yeah, it was probably a more superior movie, but nearly everybody who's in the first one's just not there or dies right at the beginning for some reason.
Literally at the beginning. It was almost kind of like that could have just been a second G.I. Joe movie that had nothing to do with the first one almost.
Yeah. It could have just been, here's the other team. Duke dies because at the time nobody liked Channing Tatum. Now everyone loves Channing Tatum. So
yeah, probably now it's like, well, I guess maybe this one's one they would have waited just a little bit. They're probably like, well, let's keep Channing Tatum along. Everybody seems to like him. But that period was like the one's like, I don't know, he's a nifty choice. He's a wild card, that Channing.
Or Channing Tatum just wanted to get the fuck out of there. He's like, no, you can go ahead and kill me. I don't give a shit.
It's either that or The Rock came up and just literally took his arm and it pushed him slowly outside the fucking
you
door.
Can't stop it. I'm gonna say this. I saw the trailer for San Andreas, not the.
I watched that too. My first thought was is this a Grand Theft Auto movie? Oh no, it's San Andreas' fault.
They're filming that movie down the road. They're filming that movie about 15, 20 minutes away from where I live.
Oh, I remember you talked about that.
They're filming it somewhere in Marina, but there is I don't really have a real sense of worry or fear for that movie. It's The Rock. It's The Rock. If a big earthquake happens, I just see him it's just that part they're driving down the road. Earthquake starts happening. I just see him stopping the car, getting out of it, punching the ground, and he just stops.
Or he just goes out, he grabs both sides, and he pulls it together, clicks it back in like a Lego piece.
Problem solved.
When I first saw that trailer, I'm like, dude, you know what this is? This is a fucking prequel to Escape from L.A. Because in Escape from L.A., like pretty much like the San Andreas fault breaks or whatever, and then it pushes L.A. out there, and that's where they make the new prison.
Like Escape from Snake Plissken comes in at the end.
Yeah, that'd be badass. That was a fucking prequel to Escape from L.A., but they didn't really tell you that unless you went and watched that movie. That'd be badass.
Well, Escape from New York comes first, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, I was just.
But since it's San Andreas,
right.
New York doesn't split because of that.
Or then there's a part even they show Paul Giamatti. He's like, even though it's happening in California, they'll feel it on the East Coast. You see like the Hoover Dam break. Just see Brock go up to that, just punch the dam, it just snaps back together.
He just he takes a big breath in and blows all the water back up into pieces.
It's The Rock. I'm not really scared for him. It's a big disaster movie, but it's just like I'm not worried about you. I mean, I like you, but I know you'll be fine. So
it seems kind of weird though to have The Rock and I don't know. That's one of those movies I'd like to see it anyways as The Rock. I like him that much. No matter what, he'll probably be entertaining. He'll probably have good visual effects. It looks like it'll be a nice one. Whatever. But he seems like a strange character to have in a disaster movie because most of disaster movies always kind of have somebody who's kind of not strong in character, but they become strong as the movie progresses on. They are maybe knowledgeable or something.
I'll say
you have
this.
Pierce Brosnan and Dante's Peak, but that's the prime example of a really good disaster movie.
But at the same time, I'll say this. I mean, I'm probably more interested in seeing this than I would be 2012 or whatever the fuck. Because I mean, I don't know.
This looks kind of a realistic one, I guess you could say.
Well, I'll say I don't know if I say it's realistic, but I'll say at least that's. I mean, I'm making all these jokes about I'm not worried about The Rock getting killed, but at the same time, I'm not worried about John Cusack because it's a movie and he's gonna at least. Out of these 4 to 5 main characters, 3 of them are going to make it out alive in these kind of movies. Mm-hmm. So that's in the first place. But I'm going to say, it's kind of cool they're actually getting some big ripped dude rather than just kind of like a scientist who's the only person who saw it coming,
Yeah, kind of like...
I just love that South Park episode where they're making fun of Hurricane Katrina and 2012 all at the same time. Like, global warming's happening. They're all running and they're all chasing. People are falling
slow and it's they're wearing all this winter gear and it's all hot out.
And there's that part where Randy is giving a speech to the UN. He's like, so how are we supposed to stop? He's always using air quotes for everything. Global warming. Well, I'm sorry, condescending Republican cliche, but... Which there always is one of those in every one of those movies.
No, yeah. No, I took a look at that. The only thing about that trailer, this is something I noticed.
I saw you post this, yeah.
It's another one of those ones, it worked for Out of the Furnace, but they have these ones nowadays where there's a song in it, and it's always a 60s song covered by a female, and she's always doing a very slow, sad version of it. And this is about the 5th trailer or so I've seen that had it. And I think it worked well in Out of the Furnace, but it comes to the point now it's almost oh, fuck, another one of these songs. Even Terminator had one of that, too.
I don't remember what Terminator was, but Terminator did have one.
It had that.
Lord had Everybody Wants to Rule the World, and that was in, a cover of Everybody Wants to Rule the World, and that was, in the Assassin's Creed Unity trailer and that Dracula Untold trailer. So...
Yeah, it's they all have these, soft... sad songs, and I don't know what's with that. Though.
And they're always covers. They're always covers from somewhere between the 80s and the 60s. So
most of them are always I know it's been 60s pretty recently, but there has been a little bit more.
They're doing California. Yeah,
that's what they're doing. California. It's just so slow too. It's California dreaming.
You want to sound like Randy Newman, Randy
Newman,
dreaming.
Such a lovely day. Buildings crashing down the rock. It just shows The Rock doing all the action things. He's pulling the San Andreas fault together with his hands. He's punching the Hoover Dam up, fucking Popeye style, just punching it and putting the pieces back together.
California. I don't know. It's that would be a little more entertaining if they had Randy Newman do it. You got your finger pointed.
Would you see a fucking Popeye movie if The Rock played the Popeye? Or played Popeye? The Popeye?
Fuck yeah!
How badass would that be?
How long have you known me? You just have to play Popeye.
That would be the sweetest Popeye movie. Just The Rock, and he's Popeye the whole time. And he's just doing fucking badass shit like that, saving the day all the time, eating spinach, punching Pluto.
They make another. For a second, what came to mind, I forgot Pluto was his arch nemesis. For a second, I was thinking Pluto the dog. Like, why is he beating a
No, no,
dog?
no, not Pluto, Bluto with a B.
Pluto, yeah. No, but
Yeah,
like,
why is he beating that dog up?
get over here, Pluto! Just this big ass guy like chasing after her like a
Just
dog.
takes the dog and rock bottoms him through something.
No, there's a fuck, what was it regarding if they? I heard that you always hear them talking about like, well, so and so acquired these rights to this old cartoon or this old comic strip that most people have forgotten about by now or are on the verge of forgetting about, so they're gonna make a movie about it. Popeye is one of them. Chances are, if Popeye,
Popeye doesn't have a copyright either, so if we wanted to, we could go out and fucking make the fucking Popeye movie.
just give Dwayne Johnson a call, like, yo, what are you up to?
I'll send him a message on Twitter, be like, yo, you, me, Popeye movie.
See how he reacts.
Come on, you know you always want to play Popeye.
That there is a, I'll say this, a Popeye movie with Dwayne Johnson, it's going to be one of two things. It's going to be either kind of like some total like CG, kind of like DreamWorks Pixar style movie, or they're going to have to be kind of like Scott Pilgrim-ish, starring Dwayne Johnson.
No, I think it's got to be Scott Pilgrim-ish, like, where it's over the top. The action can be big, the action can be kind of almost crazy, unrealistic, but it still keeps that like whole Popeye, like the sailor vibe going. And then they got his fucking fat friend eating hamburgers the whole time. He's like always like fucking razzing him for it.
Have you ever? This is gonna go off topic for a second, but did you ever see the Robot Chicken Popeye parody about Wimpy?
Yeah, I think I remember that a long time ago.
There's one. If you haven't seen it, because there's probably been more than one, but there's one that I saw that was great, where Wimpy walks in and is like, "Oh, gladly pay you Tuesday for a hamburger." Like, "Oh, I don't got any money. I don't got any money either." Popeye's like, "I'll get it for you." And then he goes up there and like a week goes by. He comes in. He says like, "So, Wimpy, you got my money for me?" And he's all like, "Well, I don't, but I'd gladly pay you Wednesday for a hamburger and your money." He's like, "Oh, that's not gonna work, Wimpy." He starts to brutally beat the shit out of him. Like right in public, just beating the ever-living shit out of him. He says like, "You owe me money, Wimpy." And he's all like, I'll suck your dick," and stops. It cuts like a week later. And then he says like, "I'll gladly pay you Tuesday." Or he just has their wallets out.
No, I remember that. That was a good one. I would definitely love to see fucking Dwayne Johnson as Popeye.
He doesn't even really got to. That's one of those things. You don't even got to play Popeye accurately. You can play Dwayne Johnson just in the sailor outfit with the anchor tattoo.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. I'd be fine with that. Maybe a little bit of skivity here and there, but other than that, but we just have him mumble to himself, and he would get it down.
And like, I don't know, there's some part like he's fighting Bluto, this big giant battle, and right where he's like, "What are you?" "I am what I am. That's all that I am." Just punches his head, explodes. Just make it all badass.
I think so. Just make it super over the top. As you said, I think like Scott Pilgrim. I think that'd be the way to do it.
Yeah.
No, that'd be pretty good.
Another thing that's coming out that we haven't talked about yet on the podcast, but it's probably, I think, maybe 2 weeks old by now, the Suicide Squad movie.
I thought I talked about that. Well, maybe we just said it once, but I think a long time ago, a couple podcasts ago.
The Suicide Squad movie's happening, but we haven't talked about it because
I think it's before like they just said it's happening. The guy that did Sabotage is directing it or whatever, David Ayer.
And now they've got all these like actors attached to it now, so.
It's actually people been kind of getting like weird and picky. They're like, Jared Leto is the fucking Joker. I'm like, I think he'll do fine. I know the only thing, I guess the only thing about him is he always looks very friendly and happy. Like, hey, what's going on, guys? Jared Leto.
He also looks very thin and slender, so
I think that will work for him.
I'm guessing. I think Jared Leto. A lot of times annoys me right when these announcements first come out, because people automatically go right off the bat and say just like "Dirt," like no filter. I mean, we'll go talk about this thing later. Dirt. That's what it sounds like to me. It seems like the fucking equivalent. Like, all right, I just got a Twitter, and we'll get into that later. But I just got a Twitter account, and I'm just an old fogey with this shit. Like, how's this shit work? Hashtags, all this, So, and I was followed Edgar Wright, And apparently Edgar Wright might be, we'll go back to Suicide Squad in just 1 second, but Edgar Wright might be doing Star Trek 3, which would be cool.
Oh, that'd be badass. I think he'd be the ideal choice for the replace
Robert Orsi or whatever it was. There's
I was thinking the guy. Yeah, the guy. What's his name? Did the first two?
Abrams.
Yeah, Abrams.
And then they're getting someone else to do. I mean, I'd see it. That made me want to see number 3 more because Edgar Wright's one of my favorite directors. I'd rather see Edgar Wright make something original, just Edgar Wright doing Edgar Wright. But whatever he makes, I'm there to see because he's one of my favorite directors.
Yeah, that is true. Because if he probably had to do Star Trek 3, it wouldn't be extremely Edgar Wright. It'd probably have a flair of it in there, but it'd probably feel the same as 1 and 2.
And that's probably the reason why he left Ant-Man, if I had to guess. But
he couldn't get more than a flair in there.
So that being said, somebody posted right on his Twitter, I love Edgar Wright's movies. Shaun of the Dead is one of my favorites, but he is just not the guy to get for Star Trek 3. And it's not set in stone if he's doing it or not. It's just something he mentioned he'd like to do. He's in the talks of possibly doing it. It's just yeah, because right off, I don't know, it just makes me angry because it's just right off the bat, miscellaneous internet person number 2 knows right off the bat that you're just not the person for it. It's just you don't, people get this mindset well, all he's done is comedy and action comedy, so how could he possibly do something? He's been doing it for a while. He's watched plenty of other movies. He's seen other. He's just got to stretch a different bone. When Heath Ledger was going to be Joker, not everybody, but a lot of people were just kind of really, the gay cowboy? Why is he getting Heath Ledger? Now, when you look back on it, though, that was, in my opinion, in live action, that's the best Joker, the best live action Joker we've had, and it was something different. I don't know what he's going to do, but let's just see what he does. Let's wait before we just say, he's just not the guy for it. It's just what the fuck?
And it worked. I think it's people they don't sit there and think. They just kind of go, I don't like that guy, fuck that. Or that's that would, almost and you almost kind of wonder, well, what's your pick anyways? Let's see who you have to, choose. And is that even a better choice? You never know.
Well, I would get the guy here's who I would get. I would actually have it directed by, that actually picked up on the fucking microphone, dude. I guess because you're at fucking ground level.
I'm at ground level. I'm at ground zero here.
I want to say that we've actually never had an actual fart or shit joke on the show so much. So this actually might be the first one we've actually had after 150 something episodes. So right on.
Jared Leto.
So no, but what was I saying?
People that are fucked up and make decisions early.
Oh, right. Well, I think you can talk to one of those people well, who would you get? Well, I'd get this precise director, this precise writer. This is my cast. This is the story I would tell. And if it's not exactly like it, then fuck this movie. And I don't know. I feel a lot of times the internet is just a really, really overly picky kid who just doesn't really, not all the time, but it feels the way a lot of times. Whenever a new movie news comes out, everyone says well, this is how I do it, and it's yeah, well, you're not getting fucking paid to do it, are you? So
exactly. Well, it's one of those ones I don't know. I guess maybe it's just the older I've gotten, and maybe since I kind of keep myself away from those, in a sense, the negative opinions, because that just seems to bother me in life.
I avoid them so much that when I do come across it, it just all kind of flows out what the fuck? 'Cause I avoid it so much, and then when I finally see one, it just I'm not used to it,
Well, I feel I become kind of the defender of things. I defend the movies that people don't seem to like. I defend the choices that they choose and go, you know what, fuck it. Ben Affleck, perfect, Batman. And I defend the video games that people seem to not like. I fucking love Sonic Boom. I really actually enjoyed Aliens, Colonial Marines. The 007 games that got kind of shit on, I like those ones too recently. It's weird how those things seem to kind of bother people. And it's I play them and I go, it's good enough for me. And maybe I'm just not I think people have gotten to this point where they're so nitpicky that everything almost has to fit perfectly. And I just kind of accept things for what they are. Every once in a while, you're going to run into something, though, it just totally either didn't work or it really just kind of fucks you over. I call it nowadays the Wreck-It Ralph syndrome. Because that to me is what it is. It's that thing where I'm pretty darn open to everything. But then every once in a while, somebody will just kind of fuck me in the movie theater. Full on, just rip down my mouth and start fucking me with the screen.
With that 10-inch fat black mouse cock.
Exactly, and that's what a Wreck-It Ralph was. Where they led me in going, huh, you like video games, right? You like Sonic, Mario, Bowser? Street Fighter. Well, here you go. Here's a lot of stuff. Here's a really neat story. It sounds cool. Guy's trying to like become himself. It's like, oh, okay, that sounds pretty good. That I can relate to that Ralph guy. He sounds like a nice fella. He just wants his place in the world. He's just been kind of viewed as the villain. So I understand. And there was a cool story where like, there's all these arcade cabinets, and when people aren't playing them, they all fucking hang out and get together and party and go to fucking like meetings and whatnot and go to AA groups. And that was great for about the first 25 minutes of the movie, and then they found a way just to really fuck you over. And that's where that's the Wreck-It Ralph syndrome, pretty much.
And that's where Mickey Mouse said, "Open your fucking mouth!" Like held you down. No, Mickey, don't. Open your fucking mouth. Oh,
And then you're just sitting there, you're like, oh, okay, it's just gonna get better. He's gonna pull it out at some point. We're gonna go back to being a really nice movie, and next thing you know, it's an hour later. It never got better. It only got worse, and they were stuck in fucking Candyland, and fucking really obnoxious characters. And yeah.
And Mickey's like, yeah, take it, you bitch. I still got your $10.
Too late now to go back and get your money. That was one of the few times where I almost, even when the movie's over, I almost want to do that thing like, I demand my money back.
I remember when we were sitting there in the theater, like you're sitting there cross-armed, and I was kind of like, is it just me? Like, I was almost afraid to say, because I was like, I should love this. I should love this movie, and I really did love the first 25 minutes. But it was kind of like, I feel like, how do I put this? I feel like I should love it, but I just don't. Maybe it's just me. And like, then I just see you two sitting there with your arms crossed. I'm like, I didn't want to know what to say. I was like, so like, fuck this movie.
You're like, thanks. That's what I feel too.
You're like, fuck this movie. Like, okay, good. It's not just me. It's not just me.
And that's what I call the Wreck-It Ralph syndrome. No matter what, there's always going to be something out there that just fucks you over, But in general, though, I try to be pretty darn open.
Yeah.
Maybe that one to me, I took it like a personal blow, being just such a big video game fan, and then just seeing them give you all this kind of stuff.
Just to tease you.
Just to tease, really just to more tease you more than anything else. It's almost like it's all there in the beginning, and then they pulled away from that, and then you get stuck with... And when I say it to somebody like told me once, they're like, well, yeah, but it's a kid's movie. I'm like, no. It's not a kid's movie. It's a family movie. And the thing about a family movie is everybody should be able to enjoy it from age fucking 2 to age fucking 98 plus. Mm-hmm. That's the definition of a family movie. A kid's movie is one of those kind of movies where everybody who's about over 15 doesn't get it.
Yeah. I want to say this real quick. Going back to what we were talking about, because we just tapped Suicide Squad. I want to go back to that, because since then a bunch of stuff has come out. Tap it.
Oh, you want to, or yeah, you finish what you're gonna say. There's something really cool coming out that I want to say too. But yeah, you go.
Okay, well we'll just get Suicide Squad out of the way real quick. They're talking about Tom Hardy's playing Rick Flag, which for a minute I assumed Tom Hardy was gonna play Captain Boomerang. Not to sound racist, I just assumed. Someone else is gonna play Captain Boomerang. I don't know who that is. Jared Leto playing the Joker, and I don't know if they're making Joker a member of the Suicide Squad or if it's going to be like Arkham Assault, like he's just maybe the villain or something like that. Either way, Joker's going to screw someone over at some point.
Which is what he does.
Will Smith is going to play Deathstroke, which they're really trying to put Deathstroke in our face, make him a bigger character. I honestly...
Smith, what's his name? He should play
Not Black Spider.
Exactly. That's who Will Smith should be playing. And that's not a racist thing. That's the character's fucking name.
Well, I thought...
That's one of those ones, like, I don't know, Deathstroke, it's like, that's a, I'm not saying that...
Go ahead.
I mean, I know that's like, it's probably Will Smith trying something different, because Will Smith's always mostly just been the lovable guy who's supposed to be relatable, you enjoy, he says funny things, even if he can, and then he can also say serious things too. But I just feel like, it's something different. Maybe now I'm sounding picky, now I'm sounding like somebody else on the internet. I'll say this, if he does play Deathstroke, he'll probably do a damn fine job. But I do think that's one of those ones, like, that's always something that bothers me, though. I don't know. I always feel characters should stay to what they are generally. I think black characters should generally stay black characters, white characters should stay white characters. Not saying that it can't change, but I feel it's a lazy way of trying to put a new character in there, is just taking an old character and putting a black twist on it. And vice versa. It goes the other way around, too, where you take, an Asian character and you turn him into a white character and so on. I always feel that's very lazy. I feel, why don't you just either, one... use a black character that already existed in the universe, and then if you don't think it's good enough, we'll make it better. Because you can take any of those characters and really change up their stories a bit and make them just a more defined 3D character.
Here's how I feel. I honestly assumed that I thought maybe Tom Hardy was going to play Deadshot. I don't know, but I just assumed Will Smith would be playing Rick Flag. That's honestly what I assumed. I assumed that's who he'd be. That's changed. That's race swapping. But I just assumed that for that character, they'd like, okay, they'll make because he's Will Smith, so they're gonna make him the one good guy of the team. But I think it's kind of cool. They're actually. I mean, well, it's one of those things you could tell. Really, it seems kind of like, oh, that's kind of weird. They're putting all this emphasis in this character, but it's really strange when you think about it. Deadshot not so long ago was really just kind of an obscure character that you only knew about if you read the comics. Now he's a character they're really trying to prep everybody up for. He's been like in nearly every one of the Arkham games. They're putting him in all the TV shows, all the CW TV shows.
Yeah, he was in multiple episodes of Arrow.
Yeah, and even Arrow characters have popped by, like villains have popped by in Flash. I haven't really watched Arrow, but I've been watching Flash. Mm-hmm. And I saw the crossover episode with both of them. And then they also had him like they're kind of. I noticed they're recently giving him more of like maybe he always has, but I didn't notice it. They're giving him a daughter, and he's just trying to see his daughter again to make him more likable. And I can see them doing that with like Smith, and I can see him being kind of like they're trying to expand on this character. And I think it's kind of cool that DC's trying to expand on one of their villain characters that's not Joker or Lex Luthor.
Yeah, that's always a good thing. You gotta like that. And as I said, I think if Will Smith plays Destro, he'll make it a great performance. There's no complaints there. But there is always that thing. I always just feel like that's that weird thing that they do, and it just always reminds me of a bunch of white people sit up there and do that. Like, oh, this will make the black people feel happy, and let me put this character in there. And I don't know. It just seems like such a weird higher up thing, Where I just feel like there's so many like, why don't you take a character that could use more spotlight, like Black Lightning or something like that. And I know all those characters have the fucking name Black in the beginning of it. I feel you just call it Lightning. You can take that out. They do it for Green Arrow. You can take out the color name of it too. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. No matter what though, that Suicide Squad movie's gonna be great, and that's one of those ones. There's no way that won't sell well.
I'm not gonna lie. I feel a little bad saying this. I'm looking forward to Suicide Squad a little bit more than I am Justice League, because Justice League, I mainly want to see Superman and Batman. That's going to happen before Justice League. And by that point, I mean, Suicide Squad, we never really seen anything like that before. We never seen the Dirty Dozen superhero movie. So I think that's
live action, because we got that animated one not too long ago.
In live action, yeah, you're right. So I'm really looking forward to this. Plus, they got the girl who, this is a pretty good choice. I thought they get someone a little bit more different, but this is still a good choice. They got the girl from Wolf of Wall Street playing Harley Quinn, which...
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, that makes sense. She looks like her, so that's cool. I mean, regardless, I'm pretty sure this movie's going to be PG-13. If they have the balls just to make it R, that's awesome. But it's more than likely going to be PG-13. I understand why.
Oh, I can imagine. Yeah, it's one of those. It's kind of hard to get those comic book movies that are anymore. There was a period where we could have some R-rated comic book movies, but that time's kind of passed, I think.
Well, if they're all taking place in the same universe, it's gonna be the hard thing. I really would think at some point they should just make the Suicide Squad versus the Justice League. Just make that movie.
That'd be a cool one. Well, it's kind of like, here's another example. I feel like also like, even though this due to whoever has the Punisher rights, but I feel the reason there hasn't been a fourth Punisher movie yet is because they're at this weird... Yeah, well, they're this weird stage where they're like, they don't want to make an R-rated comic book movie. And I mean, obviously some of the independent ones come out that are, but I'm talking about like out of the main series of comic books. Mm-hmm. I just feel they're just like, the Punisher is kind of violent and scary. We're not too sure if we want that. We want Guardians of the Galaxy. We want Avengers.
I could see Punisher coming in as like and when they have their Netflix original series for Marvel, I can see Punisher coming in 1 or 2 episodes of that, but I don't see him being like a main guy, because he would even pop in Spider-Man and X-Men and all that back in the animated series.
Yeah, well, the Punisher can still work, I think, in a PG-13 movie as long as it's not his movie. You know what I mean?
He's just a member of a team.
Yeah, like, just say if they threw Punisher in like Avengers 3 or something like that, he was not like a major character, but he just had like maybe like a scene, a fucking Chuck Norris Expendables 2 scene. I think he could totally work. And be it in a PG-13 movie. Now, if it's its own movie, that'd be stupid if it was PG-13.
It would probably be one of those things where he, for whatever reason, thought I could see how they could do something like this. He thought Tony Stark was corrupt, or there's something going on that he thought was corrupt about Tony Stark. So you have one action scene between him and Iron Man.
Movie just fucking opens up. Punisher's just got a sniper rifle on Tony Stark's head, blows his head off. Okay, no, that's how Robert Downey Jr. got out of the franchise.
That was fucking ballsy. I'm wondering I wonder if they are going to have the balls to go and kill off some of these bigger characters, because eventually contracts are going to run out.
Well, and at some point you're going to be like, okay, I don't want to be fucking. You can see somebody going like, this is great, but I don't want to be known for like the rest of my career as being Tony Stark the whole time. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm like, that was great. It kind of pulled me back into the spotlight. But
Iron Man.
I think the thing they can just do is they can just do the thing where, they do it in comic books, but in movies it makes more sense. In comic books it always seems kind of stupid because it's like you're drawing it, so it's like, why the hell do you have to switch characters? But they could do something where like, okay, this guy takes over the Iron Man suit, it's because it's just a suit more than anything else.
I can see them possibly doing that with certain characters. Iron Man, I don't know what they're going to do. Iron Man 3 ends on the note like this is the end of Iron Man aside from Avengers. Like I know he'll be back in Avengers and all that. Beyond that though, I think they're done with making Iron Man movies. And then he's going to be in Civil War though, which it's crazy. So much I just realized that. So much comic book movie news comes out up until this moment for a couple of weeks. I forgot they were making the Civil War movie. So much news comes out. I forgot for a second that, oh yeah, he's going to be the bad guy in Civil War. So.
Oh yeah, I know, exactly.
But that being said. I
just really want to see a Punisher movie though, because I went back and watched 2 and 3 again. It's like, Punisher's just one of those ones that's just like, it just makes for such great movies. And it's like, you could make so many different Punisher movies too. And, those movies, they kind of tap into the origin stories. But now it's like, my fear is that when Punisher 4 came out, they would almost kind of do the reboot the fourth time. You could do it like in the third Punisher. I kind of like the way they do it in that one. Is it kind of just in case you didn't see the first 2 Punishers and you've never really seen Punisher before, they tell enough of his like past to see how he got to where he is, but it doesn't feel like it's necessarily like a super reboot. Like there's less than 5 minutes of kind of showing like how he got there.
Yeah, I'm wondering because we're talking about like different people passing on the torch and all that. You are starting to see a lot more of the synergy thing because earlier we were talking about like how. They're trying to prepare us for Flash, Green Arrow, Deathstroke, and Deadshot. Those are like 4 Marvel characters they're really trying to put into the stream.
DC characters.
Did I say Marvel? I meant DC. Yeah, DC. And we saw them try to get us ready for Green Arrow before Green Arrow came out because a handful of like animated Green Arrow movies came out right before that. They started dropping them in more stuff.
Yeah.
I think that someone they might be doing that for, time will tell, but is the Falcon. Because the Falcon is currently the new Captain America. I haven't read it, but I just got Volume 3 of the Marvel Now print, and I got to read that, and shortly after, I believe, that's going to lead to Falcon becoming the new Captain America. I can see them doing one of 2 things. I could see them, because eventually Captain America dies, but he comes back. Mm-hmm. I could see them maybe bringing in possibly... Maybe he really does die. Who knows? But bringing in Bucky for a little while, and then Captain comes back, or maybe Falcon. I mean, you got 2 people to choose from right there. So
yeah, there's things you can do, and at some point you're going to have to do it because, as I said, those actors aren't going to want to be stuck to those roles forever.
Mm-hmm.
So, there's always going to be some actor out there who could probably ride that for the rest of his life and never care whatsoever.
I think Hugh Jackman's one of them. And that's what's really
well, cool. Yeah, I think it's Hugh Jackman. I think is.
You're not saying that's a bad thing. That's not a bad thing at all. I just think
I think it's actually if you do want to write it out, it's a good thing because perfect example is Hugh Jackman. Well, he does an X-Men movie, but then he does a bunch of other movies in between, and then he comes back to X-Men again. And I think because he just really loves Wolverine that much that he likes to come back.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's like one of the best parts of X-Men is Hugh Jackman. If he wasn't in that, obviously they'd probably find somebody else who is just as good. I don't mean to say like bring him down, but
mm-hmm.
There's always 1,000 actors that can play every single part. Sometimes you just don't see them at first.
Mm-hmm. In all honesty, I think my favorite X-Men movie is First Class, and that's one that does not have Wolverine in it. That being said, though, I still think for a cameo, yeah. Beyond that, though, I think he always is like one of the best parts of all those movies.
Oh yeah, so, I think so, and pretty much every single one except for I guess First Class is the only one other than that cameo.
Actually, he still has the best part.
But he does literally have the best part in that movie though.
So never mind. Yeah, he is the best part of every movie because he's even like his 15-second cameo. Hey, I'm Charles Xavier. I'm Eric Lyncher. Fuck off.
I remember when you first told me that I was like, he did not say
he's paraphrasing.
Really? Was it like bleeped or something? It was just like. Because at that point, it's like, okay, well, yeah, I know in a PG-13 movie you can say a fuck, but like, that was still a period where it's like, well, they're not going to do it for like a PG-13 movie that they know children are going to be at.
Yeah.
And then
And
now
then
it's
he
kind of got
says,
to the point where like almost you're almost still pretty much guaranteed a fuck in all these like PG-13 movies that are even still slightly geared towards children.
and X-Men was one of the ones where they now like, all right, we got him regardless. We had to say it at least once in every movie because ever since then they said it in Wolverine, like the Wolverine. They said in First Class, and they also said it in Days of Future Past.
And
It was
now I'm just
also
waiting
weird.
for like Spider-Man just to do it, just to fall down, just be like fuck.
Yeah, I even kind of like
Just
how
it's
like
a fuck shit good. Like okay, that's where you gotta stop at. Oh, okay.
sorry, like, Andrew, just cut it back a little bit. Yeah. No, but like I'm waiting for what was I gonna say? Like shit. Regarding I think it was regarding swear words and X-Men. Was it regarding swear words and X-Men? It was regarding oh no, yeah. There's the part in First Class what actually kind of surprised me of all, because I understand that he's an older, or not older, he's a younger, more arrogant guy who's at this point addicted to painkillers and whatever. But Charles Xavier, seeing Charles like Professor X just said fuck. I know he's on a wheelchair and he's not bald, but Professor X just said fuck.
That threw me off too. I was like, whoa, that's ballsy right there.
Professor X said fuck. I know he's not bald, but he said fuck. That's tripping me out, you know?
He said fuck before Magneto said fuck.
That even said like, even like in the trailer, he's like, he's a pain in the ass. Like, he said ass, you know, because you're so used to seeing.
If you combine together, Professor Xavier said fuck ass. Ass and fuck. He's an educator too.
Yeah. No, because you're just so used to, even in like First Class, he was still kind of like, you could see he was a little younger, a little bit more lively, but at the same time, he's like, hello, I'm Charles Xavier. So nice to meet you. Very proper. And in that one, he's just like, I don't give a fuck anymore. I need more mutant heroin, you know?
I can't feel the regular stuff.
Yeah.
Why do you have a southern accent now? It's the drugs.
The side effect, I can walk, but at the same time, I have a very fake southern accent. I can't.
An addiction to whiskey.
Oh, that was a good movie.
No, that was a great one.
That soon.
I do too. I liked it because I was like, damn it, that
There's
was
a bunch of them I want out there, like that, Guardians. I need to get those still.
I know, I got Expendables 3. That was the one, like, I have to get this one. They're sort of like I don't know, I got this weird thing. This probably happens with you too. When it comes down to, like, when you have a collection of something, that collection kind of thing almost outrules, like, other things too. It's like, well, I really like this movie, but I also need it for the collection too. That's the most important part.
Well, there's also a little bit of this kind of like, well, I know they make their money back. It's a giant release, but at the same time, you know, certain movies need more help than others. So I almost sometimes get this thing like, well, even though I liked Guardians of the Galaxy more, I'm gonna buy Street Fighter Assassin's Fist because that one I want a sequel. Guardians of the Galaxy is getting its fucking sequel, and eventually,
no matter what I do,
that's gonna drop down in price. So I almost try and view it from that angle. Which I got Street Fighter Assassin's Fist. I liked it. It was good. It needs a fucking editor, but it's good.
Yeah, it's a little too. I think if it was trimmed down to a 2-hour-long movie, I think it'd be perfect.
And not that those extra 40 minutes are all bad. It's just a lot of like
it's
shots
just
of them training. And then, like, I mean, Goken, he's a character that's part of the Street Fighter continuity now. And I know that has a big past, but he's a newer character to me. So I don't have this, like, it's more his story. So I don't have like this love or appreciation that I had for like Ryu and Ken. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it's due to, there's a couple things wrong with that one. It's just, I mean, I think the length, it's like that. Now that's just kind of bickering, but I do think that pacing wise, it would be really smooth if it was 2 hours, or even like 2 hours and 20 minutes. Just cut 20 minutes out of that movie. But the other thing too is just having such a humongous buildup just to give you that fucking Street Fighter 1974 ending where it's just like, okay, they're gonna fight. It's gonna be a big, huge battle. Cut right to credits.
Unless it's part of the movie and it just didn't really show it. There's an epilogue episode somewhere in the special features. I haven't watched it yet.
Oh, is there really?
It says an epilogue. A special epilogue episode and special features. Now I don't know if they just tacked it on there and didn't say nothing, or if I got to go check that out singly. So I'm going to do that. I haven't got around to it yet. I feel bad, but
well, because Josh brought it over, so I didn't get to like sit down and watch all the special features and whatnot. But still, I mean, overall, I think it's really good. And I think it's one of those ones like whatever comes next will be like probably the perfect Street Fighter movie. I think this one's just a good start. And I mean, for what they did, I'm not going to complain for the fact, you know.
It was very dramatic, though. It was very kind of like, you know, you took everything from me. Like the like, you know, like Forbidden Love, Street Fighter movie,
Well, that's what Josh told me too. He's like, it's kind of like, it's like a soap opera drama Street Fighter, And then I remember there was one part where I turned over and look at him. I'm like, dude, it's been like 40 fucking minutes. Nobody's thrown a single punch.
I mean, that being said, it's still like the best live action Street Fighter movie, and probably
Yeah, I mean, I will say this: it wasn't competing with a whole lot, to like.
still good. If
but
you gotta
still-
if you gotta acknowledge, if you gotta bring in like Street Fighter adaptations, it's number 3. Number 1 being the comic. Number 2 being the Undone comic.
movie.
Number 2 being Street Fighter 2 anime movie. Number 3 being this.
Yeah, as far as live action goes, I think it was definitely fucking like the best, and really like every kind of like my complaints are just like minor ones, like kind of like being trimmed down maybe just a little bit just for pacing. A lot of times you can always say like you can't really complain for them giving you more, I guess, but there is just that's one of those movies I feel like it'd be really hard to sit down and watch it multiple times because it's just so goddamn long.
Yeah.
Because once I watched it with Josh, I almost kind of had that because I was like, man, I want to fucking buy it, I want to get it, and then I kind of saw, I'm like, well, it's one of those movies I can't imagine watching it over a bunch of times, Not like I couldn't watch it over again, but you really have to almost like prepare yourself for it.
Yeah, well, it was still good. I still liked it.
I still liked it a lot. And my other complaint, though, is
you really got to like Street Fighter. I'm not going to say put it on for anybody. You got to like Street Fighter to like that movie.
Yeah, if you didn't really care for Street Fighter that much, it'd probably seem fucking weird if you didn't know anything about Street Fighter. You'd be like, because the nice thing about it is it sticks really well to the characters. So if you would just probably be like, why is like some of these colors all like this, and why certain looks and whatnot? Why are they doing certain moves and stuff? It'd probably throw somebody off. But that being said, my only other complaint, I really wish they would just put some of the other characters in there, and there was total spots for it. Like that part where they're fighting the fucking GI guys, it's like, dude, fucking
Charlie or Guile.
Guile or Charlie or both of them. Just they don't have to throw a single punch. Just have them stand there, say a couple lines. That's it. I'm not asking for much. And then there's just other couple parts where it's just like, because really there's 4 Street Fighter characters in the whole thing. There's Ryu, Ken, Kuma, and Goken.
Yeah.
That's it. But overall, though, it's still pretty badass. And whenever that next one comes out, that would be probably the keeper.
When Akuma kills Gotetsu, that was probably one of the coolest scenes in the whole movie.
No, yeah, that part was really badass.
And how he's kind of like, he's almost kind of proud that he killed him, but at the same time, like, Goken comes up, like, the fuck,
Yeah, exactly.
No, that was actually, I like that. I mean, I knew he was going to become Street. The whole way he got created was actually, Goken was actually out of like a mistranslation, because Goken was Akuma's name, and then there's a mistranslation that was their master. Like, no, that's like the arch nemesis of their master or whatever. And then they just kind of created this whole other character, and like, all right, we'll just split him. So instead of calling him Goken, his name was Goki. Then he became Akuma. So yeah.
Yeah. Because Akuma just means devil in Japan.
Yeah, which that's
pretty cool. What was I gonna say though?
You see, earlier before I started talking about like Suicide Squad, it's something really cool.
They've been releasing a bunch of info on the new 007 movie coming out.
Yeah, Christoph Waltz.
Christoph Waltz. It's got fucking Dave Bautista's in it.
Really?
Yeah, he's gonna be pretty much him and Christoph Waltz are gonna be the 2 main bad guys.
So
and then they got some of the pretty much just the regular cast of 007 back into it again.
And they're bringing Spectre back into it.
So it seems like it's kind of going, back to a real old school style Bond. There was this article that I saw that somebody interviewed what's Bond's name nowadays? Daniel
Craig.
Yeah, Daniel Craig. I drew a blank right there. But he was like, you know what? It was the Austin Power movies that fucked over 007 for a good 10 years. He was like, when I came into doing 007, we were going to continue doing Bond and kind of like the little bit over the top style. But he's like after Austin Powers, it was going to be too hard to make people think it's serious when they've just seen all these kind of comedy events, spoofing Bond, which I'm like, I don't know how that really affects anything. You could spoof something all you want and you could still continue like the regular thing, but whatever. So he's like, so blame it on fucking Mike Myers. He fucked us over. Daniel Craig, fuck him.
I just see like Daniel Craig just like knocking on Mike Myers' door. Mike Myers just peeks out the window. He sees him. He turns. He closes the shades, runs upstairs, locks up in the closet. He's like, "You gotta come out sometime, Myers. You sometime."
You fucked me over. I wanted to be on Moonraker. You fuck.
All of a sudden, like Myers he comes out of his closet, peeks around the corner. Somehow Craig is like standing on the window, just staring at him, hands against the glass, like wide-eyed and
fucking kind of like squatting and everything too, like perching up on like the ledge.
He just says like, I could get in there, but I'd rather watch you suffer. He slams the door. But he just haunts him for the rest of his days.
So the good news, though, it sounds like this fourth one, because you can really say Skyfall started to go back into feeling more like a regular Bond movie. Because don't get me wrong, I like Casino Royale and I like Quantum of Solace. They're some of my least favorite 007 movies, though, but I do actually still like them a lot. But the thing that always kind of bothered me of those movies was, one, I hate how they rebooted it, because that was like the time period when they started rebooting a bunch of stuff, and you're just kind of like, hey, yo, what are you fucking over all the old fans for? Like that kind of like where you took offense to everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because you're like, I put my dues, and I've been watching 007 forever, and I'm still fucking young, and I still enjoy the whole legacy of it. But it was kind of that, and then my other thing too is like they do kind of they want to go that realistic route, almost make it kind of like the Bourne Identity, where this is more serious spy. Let's take out sort of the one-liners and a little bit of the overtop, and the characters that are a little bit outrageous and whatnot. But to me, as like a Bond fan, it's like that's what I like about 007 is I like all that kind of keeping it slightly over the top. To me, almost in most movies, I think work the best when they have a bit of over the topness into them. Mm-hmm. It could be based on a true story, but that over the topness, perfect example, Pain and Gain. Just give it a little bit of the over the topness, and that's what makes it. Yeah.
No, I really like the new 007 movies. I mean, I like the old ones. I'll be honest, the Roger Moore ones aren't exactly my favorite. There's some good Roger Moore ones, but it's not really my favorite era. I really like Sean Connery. I like the George Lazenby one, and I like Pierce Brosnan. The only Pierce Brosnan one I did not like was Die Another Day. And then I like the Craig
Die Another Day. Like I've come to the conclusion that's actually one I like a lot.
I don't like that one. That's just one I can't get into.
And then Roger Moore's, like, that's my favorite 007 era.
I like From Russia with Love and The Spy Who Loved Me. I like those two.
Bro, From Russia with Love, that's Sean Connery.
Oh, my bad, yeah. But I like Spy Who Loved Me. I did not really care for Live and Let Die. Did not really care for that one. I know a lot of people love that.
That one's, I will say, that's kind of like one of my least favorite Bond movies. I still enjoy it, but I don't think it's nearly as good as...
I mean, I love Honky on Your Left.
That's like the best line in that entire movie. Mm-hmm. This guy, it's like the least black guy known to mankind. Just like, what happened to that guy's accent?
Looked like he was almost ADR'd. Like, that might sound a little too racist.
Yeah, probably still got like, honky on your left.
Like, we got to ADR this racist comment to make it
the guy was like Uncle Ruckus or something like that. They're like, we're not too sure about that. But no, Skyfall was kind of good because what I liked about that Bond movie, because that being my favorite out of the Daniel Craig ones, is it felt like we were diving back into what Bond's all about. You had the villain itself, he felt a bit over the top, and that was kind of what we needed again, because the last couple, they didn't have the villains were kind of there, but they were just kind of regular. There wasn't anything as much threatening about them, and they weren't that crazy, and they didn't almost even have kind of gimmickiness to them. And then plus that ending scene, even though that's a little bit different than any Bond movie where they kind of had it almost like a Western movie, that part just really topped it off. But when they get to the final ending, it really reverts back into like 007 the way you remember it. You know what I mean? You get back, it shows Bond, puts his hat up on like the rack, he talks to Moneypenny, walks to the door, M's in there, M's a man.
Man M.
Yeah, Man M. What if they just changed Judi Dench's name to like, she's now W? What's that mean? Well, she's not a man, so now she's a woman, so she's W.
There probably be some people like with distaste for that.
Exactly. Don't get me wrong, I like Judi Dench and stuff, but like, just going back to like how 007 kind of was, I think that needs it about now.
That's what threw me off about like it being a reboot or not, because she came in GoldenEye saying like, I'm the new M, suck it up, bitch. And then she's M again, and she's still M in Casino Royale, so that's what kind of threw me off a little bit about being like, wait, what? But I know for a little while there's all these different ideas of what Bond was, and there's one they're talking about in the mid-90s possibly doing like an Avengers style Bond, where it's like, oh, well, apparently Bond is just a code name that gets passed on from person to person, and we're going to try and bring them all together for this one big movie, but that never happened.
See, that could be kind of cool, I think. I kind of like the fantasy style. This is what always kind of bothered me about Casino Royale. I think that's the one thing. It's like it's a good movie, but it's that rebootness that's in there that just like when I'm watching the whole time, I'm just like always like this movie's kind of like what fucked over the Bond legacy. And it's like it slightly pulls the movie down for me just a bit, just knowing that. Once again, as I said, it's actually a really good movie, and it's got great action, it's got good scenes, and it's finally cool that they took, because that's the third Casino Royale made. There's the original one way back in the day that nobody knows about with I'm drawing a blank of his name, but it's the black and white. It's the very first Bond movie. It was a made-for-TV movie, so it's not the first theatrical one. But
and he was an American agent, wasn't he?
Yeah, because it's made in America. It was put on CBS or something like that. It's only like an hour long or something. I have like a VHS copy of it, which is like fucking hard to find. And then obviously there's like the spoof kind of pretty much pre-Austin Powers Casino Royale in the 60s. It's got Woody Allen and Pink Panther guy.
It's on tip of my tongue. Sellers. Peter Sellers.
Peter Sellers is in it. And then also David Neven's in it. And Orson Welles and a bunch of other like actors. And then there's that one. And then now they finally took Casino Royale and made a pretty long version of it. Put a lot of scenes in there. It made it serious. But the thing of it, because when I was watching that movie, I'm like, this is what they should have done with Casino Royale. This would have made the movie, I think, really cool. Instead of doing it a reboot, they should have just went back in time. It took place in the 50s because 007 movies in the 60s. So let's just say he's earlier. It's like 1952 or something like that. And this is where those movies take place, and it's Casino Royale, and it's in the 50s. And then you could almost take away a lot of the gadgets and go back to that old timeness, make it a period piece. And I actually literally thought that's what Casino Royale was at first until I started watching it in the theater, and then it was like, he whoops out a cell phone. I'm like, what? And then he's driving a Ford. I'm like, that's a modern Ford. What's going on?
Yeah. Well, even in the beginning, it's all black and white, and it's kind of like I like that whole opening, though. It's just like you have to have 3 kills. You only have 2, or you only have 1 or something. I got this guy, then I got you. Bam! Da-na, so.
Well, I will say Casino Royale has one of the best Bond songs of all, though.
Anything by Chris Cornell, yeah. Well, I'm not going to lie. Keep in mind, I always liked Bond, but he's never been, as important to me as he has been to you and Cisco. So for me, not Quantum of Solace, but Casino Royale and Skyfall are definitely 2 of my favorite Bonds, because I really grew up on Pierce Brosnan Bonds, and I went back and watched Sean Connery. So I really love Casino Royale, and I really love Skyfall. Quantum of Solace, it's good. Not my favorite, but it's good. Pierce Brosnan's, love them all with the exception of Die Another Day. And then Sean Connery, I like all the Sean Connery ones that I've seen. There's 1 or 2 that I missed, but I've seen most of them, so...
Yeah, they're pretty much to me. I will say this: I don't think there's no such thing as a bad Bond. There's a couple of them that are decent. That's about maybe 2.5 stars out of 4. So they're still good movies, but they're just not on par with some of the other ones. But overall, I think most Bond movies are all pretty damn good. But that comes from a Bond fan. I mean, 007. That's like one of if there's my 5 favorite things of all time, things I just love. It's Batman, Arnold Schwarzenegger, 007, Jurassic Park, and probably Castlevania.
Clint Eastwood.
Clint Eastwood's another one there too. Then you get that point where fucking top 10, Clint Eastwood, fucking Super Mario, Sonic the Hedgehog,
Flash,
Yeah. But 007, at least 007 being one of the main things, at least movies wise, that's one of my main things I love. 007 and Arnold Schwarzenegger. It's I got 2 fucking collections in my house. They sit right on top of each other.
No, but I am.
So as always, I am very excited about a new Bond movie.
But I am kind of curious because he's actually, Waltz isn't playing a new character. He's playing one of the original leader of Spectre, right? And Batista's playing his right-hand man.
Is he playing Blofeld? Is that what he's playing?
Yeah, he's playing Blofeld.
Okay, that's what I thought I heard. When I first heard that, I thought that was a rumor. This is who he might be playing, so I wasn't too sure. Well, that's going to be badass. And I think Christoph Waltz is going to be fantastic as that.
I don't think he's going to be bald, but he's going to be playing Blofeld.
That's one of the things. I don't mind if they change up his look nowadays. It's that's fine. But it is cool they're kind of going back to back to the good old days of Bond,
What if Batista is Oddjob?
Is there Oddjob wasn't assistant
short,
to fucking...
just he just take out, he doesn't.
He's just all squatty.
He just kind of walks in, kind of all short, on his knees, throws his hat at Daniel Craig.
That'd be pretty funny.
Just bounces off him what the fuck was that? It was just a diversion. Gets up, breaks his back like Bane.
But I can't wait. Batista being there, it's gonna be fucking badass.
I'm looking forward to that one. But anyway, something we should say real quick. I want to just get this out of the way. I'm kind of a self-promoting whore, and I just got a Twitter. Not really used to it, and I'm not so fucking good at this thing. So I know this. I know I see you on Twitter, like getting a lot of like new listeners and all that. So, folks, if you like the show, do me a little bit of a favor. Just go on Twitter, follow me if you can.
What's
Dunigan.
it at?
I just typed in my name and it did this preset thing for me. It's just Dunigan Ryan or Ryan Dunigan, whatever you type in first. You know what I mean? So.
Well, is it at
It's
right?
got
Is it?
free
Is it?
at? I believe it's at. Yeah.
It's at. Well, let me just look it up because nobody's
Yeah.
gonna know what the fuck to type in if you.
At Dunigan Ryan, I think.
That's
But
probably
yeah,
what it is.
I got 3 so far. That's including you. I'm like, how the fuck does this thing work? I'm still figuring this thing out, so bear with me here.
It's like a timely process. You just gotta put your like. It's something you almost have to. It's like a fucking job. You got to go on there for like an hour every single day for the next 3 years,
Oh, okay, gotcha.
and just like fucking work it. It sounds weird,
Well,
but
I'm not like saying like, oh, I got it. Why don't I instantly have 1 million followers? I'm not saying that. I'm just still figuring the fucking thing out. Like me and technology, it don't work. You could. It's so with us in general. You hear us bitch about the Skype every 3 podcasts, which we had a little bit today, but we won't even go into it because it's probably an old thing people have had to hear.
yeah, Skype just fucking Skype updated itself, and of course it fucked us over. But that's nothing new. Yeah, it's at Dunigan Ryan, so it's simple, easy to find, and then you can always find mine at Spencer S Holmes.
I see how many connections you're making for the podcast and really helping us out. I'm like, I should probably be doing something too. I feel bad about this, so I finally put my prejudice for Twitter aside, gave it a shot, and yeah, we'll see how this goes.
Well, I feel Twitter just to me just works as a good way to like advertise things and get in touch with people of similar interests and whatnot.
I'm good at Instagram. I'm good at Instagram. I got that one down, but for whatever reason, Twitter is just this whole other thing for me.
You know, it's like because Twitter was like the thing I liked about that one because Facebook just kind of like to fuck me over because every single time I'd make friends with somebody who wasn't in my fucking county, it would block my account and go, whoa, you can't just go out there and make friends with other people. And it's like, well, dude, what the fuck? It's like I know that person in Hawaii, you know what I mean? Like he's friends with Cisco, that's how I know him, you know. And then it would jump me every single time I went to make friends that like, you know. And then there's some people that lived in New York that I knew from San Francisco, and they fucking like jumped me for making friends with them. It's just like, dude, what the fuck?
Would it just like, hey, you're kind of going outside your comfort zone, or would it literally stop you from doing it?
No, it would send me a message that told me that like, hey, how do you know these people out there? Well, we're blocking your account for 3 days of making friends. And
yeah,
like,
I never liked Facebook.
And I was like, you know what? I just got to the point where it's just like, fuck Facebook. It's so hard to advertise on here because people like just kind of like we have our Old Man Orange Facebook, but like we almost never use it. It seems like I post stuff on it, but like I post it from like the third, like almost like the halfway point where, you know, you share, but you never actually go to Facebook. It's just like, it fucks me over. Where Twitter, I can make friends with people all around the world in space and in between, and nobody fucking judges me there. Or Twitter doesn't go, hey, what are you doing making friends with somebody in Japan? You don't know anybody in Japan. I've seen your fucking house before. And you're just like, hey, what the fuck are you yelling at me for? Like, what do you mean? How do you know where I live?
Yet some scam artist from some other country can like add you, and it's not a big deal.
Yeah, well, it's just so weird. But
some dude like literally, I've never met this guy before. Some dude from somewhere in Africa added me as a friend, and I'm like, okay, sure, whatever, I'll be your friend. And then just started like text, just to like, Ryan, I want to be a good friend of yours. Like, okay, cool. Since we are such good friends, why don't you tell me your credit card account? Like, wow, that's your.
And take a picture of your dick and send it to me. I'll take one of mine and send it to you too.
At some point, this guy.
We can dick swap. Ryan, do you want to be my dick swap friend?
I removed this guy. Some other guy, I just automatically removed that guy. Some other guy added me. Might be the same guy, just under a different username, but just was like, hey, I want to be a good friend of you. Okay, I didn't ask any credit card information, but just like, all right. How is your buddies? It just at some point, the guy posted a picture. I don't know. I've got, like, sometimes I hear people getting like complain about Facebook taking down like political posts or whatever. This guy literally put up a picture. It was one of those things. It was so gross. I had to stare at it to realize what it was. It was a picture though of someone with their dick partially blown off. And I was like, how the fuck is that on here? But someone gets shit for posting some bullshit about Mitt Romney during the election.
Yeah, it's like, what the fuck bullshit is that?
Yeah.
I always feel like that's like, if you want to put like in war photographs somewhere, like on some other website, that's fine. But doesn't that you need to share that with like your fucking friends and family on Facebook?
Yeah, and I was just like, I just removed that guy as
The
well.
guy just sent you another message like, remember when I asked you to be dick buddies? This is what happened to my dick because you were not my buddy. Fuck you, Ryan.
Oh well, I wish I could help you out, but no.
Fuck you,
I wish I
Ryan.
could be. I wish I could be understanding, but no. Living here turns you into a very, very cold, bitter person. Yeah.
It does. It gets you. You know what movie I actually saw last night that I kind of forgot about for a bit. Then I was like, oh fuck, that came out. But this is what always happens with those kind of movies that don't come to like big theaters. But the Bobcat Goldwaith movie, Willow Creek.
Is it the Bigfoot one?
Yeah, that one probably came out a couple of months ago by now, if I had to guess, because I want to say it was in like independent
Circuit.
Yeah, independent circuit / like film festivals, like close to almost like the end of last year. So it must have came out on DVD maybe in like summertime or something like that.
And it's kind of like a found footage horror comedy, right?
Yeah, it's found footage and it's got kind of. I will say this. This is what it really is. It's like a better version of like the Blair Witch Project, though. It kind of plays out in that same sort of style, a little bit different. But what makes it kind of interesting is the fact it's all about Bigfoot, and it's all going to real locations and whatnot. Because they go up to Willow Creek, which is like the town before those guys that shot the '60s footage of Bigfoot. You know, where Bigfoot's walking, and like people have always kind of go, is it real? Is it fake? What is it? You know, like some guy came out and said it was in the suit, but they're like, well, that was some guy that wasn't part of it, and so on. So whatever. Point is, it's a historic site. Let's just say that. So their whole thing is, it's just like it's a guy and his wife, and they're gonna go up there and kind of do like a homemade documentary, probably something that they would have whipped up on YouTube, because it kind of makes it feel like. It seems like they almost don't. They've never really done this before. Just like spur of the moment, like let's go make a fucking documentary. Yeah, I love Bigfoot. Let's go make a documentary. Like almost one of those kind of things. Because you kind of look at their shots and stuff, and just as a filmmaker, you're going like, why are they shooting that at such a fucking like pulled back angle and whatnot? But whatever, midlife crisis. Who knows? They're going up there making a Bigfoot documentary, and they do this kind of cool thing. The beginning part's great, where like it shows the town. They got all the Bigfoot stuff, and they go by restaurants that are all Bigfoot designed.
Does it feel? Does it feel? I'm sorry to cut you off, but does it feel a little bit more like over the top, or does it play pretty realistic? Is it partially comedy, or?
Well, it plays really realistic. They just have funny kind of things in it, but like realistic funny stuff. Okay. There's like one part where there's this huge Bigfoot statue, and he's like, "Oh, go stand next to. I'll film you to stand next to the Bigfoot statue," and she's over there, and then she's like. Kind of like fucking like acts like she's jerking off the statue. So like I mean like coming like that, and then this old lady, and then they like turn to this old lady that walks over like, do you guys need any help? And like a lot of the stuff kind of has some like actual interviews of people there. Like the old lady that walked up, like they interviewed her, and she ran like the Bigfoot like or like the town's information center. Yet she was like totally like a non-believer. And it had that kind of combination, like there's the two actors, but then they kind of interview some people, and then some people knew, some people didn't, like if this was like an actual documentary or if they're making a movie.
Like Borat or something.
Yeah, kind of like in that Borat style. And then there's another guy that owned like a Bigfoot bookstore, and he was like a total Bigfoot expert, and he was in on it, but he was the real guy though. So he got to just kind of talk and go for it. The one thing, and like, the movie's just like, it's almost like so cheap that you almost look at this and go like, I was like fucking really inspired. I'm like, man, this is the fucking way to go. I mean, it was cheap, but it felt like it was done like in the right way of being kind of cheap, I mean, not too much shaky camera in it. There was a little bit when they were like walking, but it almost felt like it was still pretty still. And then after that, they kind of go, okay, we're gonna go off and go explore. We're gonna go to the site and go see what's going on. We'll go camping out there, and because they had to hike in like 30 miles or something like that. I'm not too sure. Maybe they had to drive in 20 miles, hike in another 10. They had a camp, so that obviously meant it was pretty far away. Mm-hmm. And so they go out there and they're driving out, and then all of a sudden there's just some guy walking in the woods. And he's like, hey, you guys should turn around and go back to town and whatnot. And they're like, oh, well, we're just kind of out here. Like, no, you get the fuck out of here and go back to town. Kind of like, the scary redneck guy who's supposed to warn them. And so on the next thing you know, then they're like, fuck that. We know another route. We'll go around. So they pull around. They get to the point where they have to get out of the car and start hiking. And then they go out into the woods. And next thing you know, they're like, oh, it's good nighttime. Let's set up camp here and whatnot. And then there's a scene where they're literally sitting in the tent, and they're like, I hear something, I hear sounds. I mean, I want to say this scene was a one shot, one take, or maybe multiple takes, but one full-on take for over 10 minutes. I kid you not, because I kept doing that thing like, it's going to cut now. Oh, it didn't cut yet. Didn't cut. And you're watching a tent, and the whole time you're going like, something's gonna go slap right up against the back of the tent. Like it's, exactly what's gonna happen. But then they kind of hear like, they hear this like wood clicking like tuk 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 tuk. Tuk, 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 tuk. And then they get closer and whatnot, and then they kind of hear like some Yeti howls or whatever a Yeti howl is. Like that's like the first time I ever saw that on something. Mm-hmm. They probably one of those History Channel ones. They go, "This is what a Yeti would sound like,"
Right next to like the Discovery Channel, like alien like nature shows or whatever the fuck.
Yeah, next to like one of those kind of things. UFOs, ancient aliens, Bigfoot.
Well, no, they literally have like nature shows. Like, okay, nature shows on dinosaurs. Dinosaurs exist. Like, we're gonna do a nature show about fucking myth about aliens that don't exist. It's just like a nature show. Like, what? Okay, you're the History Channel, but whatever. All right, sorry. Go ahead though. Yeah.
And then so on. Like, so the movie goes, and then from there on out, like, something rubbles the tent. They get scared, and they, this is when the scary stuff starts to happen, pretty much more than anything else. And then next thing you know, they wake up the next day and they're like, let's get the fuck out of here. And then they try to walk back and they get fucking lost, of course. And then it gets night once again, and then they're walking around at nighttime. And the movie ends with them getting fucking like attacked by a Bigfooter. They actually don't show anything, that was one thing that kind of bummed me. Is like, oh, it didn't show anything. And
you actually see a Bigfoot? Do you see it at all?
No, you don't. You just see them get like kind of like, you see this like fat naked lady, which is like, they show it early. I didn't think about it until like later, but like, early on, they look at this missing poster, and they kind of look at this lady, and like, oh, look at that, missing poster. That's kind of weird. And then later on, that comes around that. So I was like totally fucking confused by it. We're like, what? A fat lady out there? Is that what they're being attacked by? Like a naked fat lady? But no, apparently like what it was is just like, and then the Bigfoot shows, and it like drags him across, and it makes it kind of scary and whatnot, but it doesn't show it. And what Bobcat Goldwaith said in the special features,
drags the lady or drags the two of them?
Drags the guy, like the husband, I guess you could say. No, the lady's just there, and then all of a sudden he's running away, and then he's like knocked down, and you just hear sounds and pain and scream, and then it stops for a second, and then he gets drugged like far back and whatnot, and that's pretty much about the end of the movie. Then you hear the girl scream, but they don't show like the Bigfoot, and I was kind of bummed out there. But Bobcat was doing that kind of thing where he's like, which always feels like kind of the old-fashioned thing where it's like we don't really want to show the monster because everybody kind of has their own view of what it's going to look like, and then if you show it, will it pull you out of the movie? Will it not be up to your expectations? Which I'm always kind of like, it's your movie. I just want to see what monster you put in there. It's not my movie.
That's how I feel too.
And I felt a little bit let down by not seeing it. That was my only kind of real complaint. I'm gonna say it's not the best Bobcat Goldwaith movie out there, but the Bigfoot stuff that they do have, and I just like kind of like the beginning part where they're just going around town, like before it's actually like a horror movie, I guess you could say. I like that part the most.
When it actually becomes a horror film, is there still comedy within it, or is it straight up a horror film?
It's probably straight up a horror film by that point.
That's kind of cool, because usually movies don't do that. Usually they still got to enforce comedy in there, but I kind of like when a movie can just ultimately shift gears. Like, no, we're changing genre,
And I'll say it's not like a comedy. It doesn't have as much comedy as say like God Bless America or World's Greatest Dad or any of his other movies. It's one of those movies where it just has like tidbit funny stuff, but it's all realistic. It's not like any gags or anything like that. They're just kind of like small jokes. Like there's this part where they're like filming this mural that's painted up there, where it's got like shows Bigfoot, and he's building some guy's house, and he's like sawing wood, and it's just almost like one of those weird things like, oh, Bigfoot helped build this town. And there's one where they show that's like Bigfoot, he's just like sitting there like slumped over, and they're like, look, it looks like Bigfoot's depressed there. He's like, I'm sad, Bigfoot. Just kind of narrates over. It's kind of funny, And then it goes over and they show some more stuff. They're like, well, I see why Bigfoot like hides himself. He's like, I just didn't want to do any more work. These guys just forced me into slavery. So it's got little things in there, but they don't feel like nothing pulls you out comedy wise.
Gotcha.
And as I said, this is because it really felt like the same way that like Blair Witch did, where like Blair Witch was like, except Blair Witch didn't have anything really too interesting until like the very end, and then it was over. And you're like, that's it? Where this one had like, if you're really into Bigfoot, it's got a bunch of neat little Bigfoot things along the way. And then once they finally get out there camping, kind of like in the Blair Witch too, like they finally go out in the woods and whatnot. And then, at the very end of Blair Witch, all you see that girl standing around the corner. And then next thing you know, fucking like the ghost lady or whatever attacks them, and that's the end of the movie.
You don't even see the ghost lady. I think it's, I can't tell, is like Blair Witch walking around, I don't remember. Is she walking around with the camera at the end of
I think at the very end, because, and the explanation was like, well, you notice how the camera's steady now?
Yeah.
It's like, so that means that it wasn't the fucking retards carrying it anymore.
It was this hermit living out in the woods who's never probably held a camera before. They had a better idea how to operate.
I better have some really steady action. I don't want people to think of my movie being bad or anything.
Yeah, so because I mean it's one of those things because the camera's it's different and it sounds like she's being yelled from another room, but then as soon as like it sounds like the girl kind of comes in from the other room and sees the guy from another corner of the room. We don't see her and sees the guy in the corner. He's like Josh, and then all of a sudden like the camera drops and turns and that's what it is, and it's just like you could have probably showed a little more. I don't know. I think it would have been. You don't got to show the whole thing. I understand the monster. It's probably scarier in your head than what it really looks like. But it's just something enough to be kind of scary. Just kind of like, what if some wrestling happened? You really couldn't see it that well, but it freeze frames like I'm part of her face. It looks like just super fucking freaky, just part of her face, you know?
Exactly. Or you know what's something you could even do too? You could even have the camera go slightly out of focus because that would at least, if your costume wasn't good.
There's a figure, yeah.
Yeah, at least you're getting something. But I will say that when I watched this Bobcat Goldwaith movie, as I said, it wasn't nowhere near as God Bless America or World's Greatest Dad. But it was one of those movies that was like, I felt really inspired from it. It's like, man, you know, you think about like, that is such an easy way to go about making a movie because it doesn't look like it's complicated at all. I think he had a 6-man team in general, other than like, you know, some producers and whatnot. Because it's just like there's the 2 main actors, and your actors are pretty much the cinematographers when you get down to it. Mm-hmm. And then Bobcat just directed it, but he just kind of was there. And then they had a sound guy just to make sure this, you know, that's the one thing you want to have the sound be good. Even if it kind of has that feel, you can cheat by making the sound look better. And then other than that,
go ahead.
And then other than that though, that was pretty much about it. I think they had a couple like assistants that just kind of helped out, and I think 6-man was the top of that whole shoot.
When you hear about movies like this, it kind of irritates you when you hear them put all the like this big budget into like these big glossy, shiny found footage movies, which kind of defeats the purpose of it, in my opinion. Like I didn't see either of them because they both look dumb to me. But there's like Say Hello to Yesterday or whatever. There's like a one like. There's like, did you see the trailer for that one? Like, teenagers discover time travel, and it's a found footage movie.
Is that the one where they're making the fucking like time machine in their fucking like storage unit?
Found Dad's time machine. Yeah, whatever.
Oh no. That's not the. There's one that I watched. It was one of those like independent movies where you almost really had to be into time travel because it was so fucking scientific the whole time I was talking about it. That's not the one, because this one's like, it was about these like 2 guys, they're probably about like 30 years old, and I think they were like, you know, they worked at like some like high-end education center or whatnot, you know, teaching fucking science and shit, and they were like building this time machine and whatnot the whole time, and it wasn't like anything like they're going back to the Future style or something like that. It was just like they built, like, if you had to realistically make a movie about a time machine, that's what they were doing. Mm-hmm. And they set it up inside like their they rented out a storage unit, and that's where they were kind of building it at. And like the only thing the thing could do is like it would take you back like a half an hour or something like that. Or if you went into the time machine, it was almost like a hyperbolic time chamber. I almost want to say where like you went in there and like a half an hour was really like an hour or something like that. If I remember correctly, as I said, I watched it a while ago. I want to say it was called like Primer or something like that.
Huh, that sounds familiar. This one, it looked a lot shinier. Looked like a lot of lens flares. It was produced by Michael Bay. Just some.
I think I remember the trailers to this one you're talking about.
High school kids discover time travel somehow, and what we do has an effect on the rest of the world. How about that? We got to go back in time and stop us from ever doing it. And I mean, I didn't see it. It looked dumb to me. I don't even know if it came out yet. I remember seeing a trailer for it and hearing nothing about it ever since.
Yeah, I agree there too. I remember the trailer. I remember being like, that looks stupid.
And then there's another one that I didn't see this movie either because it looked dumb, but it was like Earth to Echo. And just kids doing like found footage, come across a little alien robot or whatever. Now maybe it was a really good movie. I don't think it looked that good to me, but I'll say it's just. I guess it kind of the whole concept of found footage is it's not supposed to look like a J.J. Abrams movie. It's supposed to look kind of like very amateur, very dirty, very gritty. And then what they do is they have this really shiny, good-looking movie, but they're shaking the camera everywhere like a fucking idiot. And the only movie I can think that's only recent like found footage movie I can think of that I liked was Chronicle. That didn't even look all that shiny or glossy though. That still looked kind of like, found footage. And
Mhm.
but the one thing about the movie that actually kind of takes away from it is the fact it's a found footage movie because they got to come up with excuses or reasons why the camera's there. Where it's kind of like the movie's fine itself. It doesn't need to be a found footage movie. This could just be a normal narrative, but it's more like, all right, well, we got a found footage movie. We got to work our way with this. And it's still a good movie, but it just like it would have been better without the full found footage little twist to it.
Well, this is how I feel found footage works. Is it works in a very independent level because the upside to a found footage movie is that you can almost have all these mistakes because it's supposed to look like it's this almost documentary that wasn't really edited.
Mm-hmm.
You know, sort of that kind of thing. Like, oh, we're out here in the woods right now looking for Bigfoot. Like almost like you're watching one of those Travel Channel or History or Animal Planet shows, like Man versus Wild.
Mm-hmm.
Like, but with like an independent level instead, and shit goes awry in it. That's almost how the movie's supposed to be. Like, I'm out here camping in the woods looking for stuff, and then next thing you know, fucking Bigfoot appears and bends me over and rapes me, and
Yeah.
bada bing, bada boom.
Bigfoot's known by most people. Yeah.
So that's where I think the found footage works. I think once you get like somebody that's like a big director and they're putting money into it, and they're literally just making it like a found footage movie just to be an effect, not because they couldn't afford to do something better, then I think it's kind of lame.
Yeah,
Like,
and that's what a
because
lot
it's
of
one of those ones like like perfect example, like the Blair Witch Project. I don't think it's like really a grand movie,
it's a stepping
but
stone.
it's a stepping. It's not the first found footage movie. It's a movie that kind of gets the credit for it, but it's not really the first.
Well,
But
go ahead. Yeah.
I would say, but it's one of those movies like you got to give it so much credit for being like it's just a little independent movie that these kids or 20-year-olds really like were able to make a whole lot of money off of and made a lot of people actually believe it was real.
Yeah.
So like I give a lot of
stuff
credit
film.
there, and I think it's just one of those ones too. It's like it's the kind of movie it's independent, and so I think that's totally fine that like they just made it as cheap as possible, and it's like good for them for making a movie. Any way you can kind of get your movie out there and get started, I think that's great. It's same Paranormal Activity. That's the same thing too. With that movie went around for like a year before anybody even knew about it, and then it was bought up, and then they put it in the theaters and so on, and that became what it is today. But it was only like
Spielberg's company bought it, right?
Yeah, because Spielberg kind of like went there and said, "This is great. I can make a lot of money off this,"
Mm-hmm.
And that movie was one of those ones too. I think it was only made for like $15,000, which means that probably like $7,000 was for that camera.
Mm-hmm. No, like I never seen Paranormal Activity 1. People tell me if I gotta watch one of them, the first one's pretty good. But
Well, you should watch it just for like the independentness of it and just kind of like it. And it's actually one of those ones. I think that's one of the more well-made found footage movies. One of the smartest things they do in it, because problem Blair Witch was just how shaky the camera was. This movie, everything's put on like a tripod. You're like, they thought this one out.
well, plus on top of that, I mean, I know that usually in horror films, it's not always the smartest people, but some of the stuff in Blair Witch, I mean, yeah, it's independent, but the people doing stuff in the movie, they were so fucking stupid altogether.
Yeah.
They were just so fucking stupid the whole time. I
It's
know
like you
people.
really,
I mean, it didn't take long for them just to turn on each other as soon as shit went bad, And I didn't really even feel bad for them. I remember being kind of younger, being kind of scared to watch that movie, and then like sitting down and actually just watching it, like right when it came out. Like I was a little nervous about it because I heard how scary it was, and I watched it. Putting yourself in those shoes, I understand it, but watching it really right there, it was just kind of like I mean, now I probably have more respect for it, but it wasn't really that scary. And plus, like, these people are so fucking stupid. As someone who's in the 5th grade, like, what's wrong with you, bitch? Tell them you found your friend's tongue wrapped up in his clothes outside your tent, or whatever the fuck that was,
Yeah, that was like kind of my thing about that movie. And one of the other weird things about the movie is like they could really like they have like this mix of 16mm footage and video footage, and the 16mm footage always looks worse. It's like why are you spending all the money just to shoot some like black and white 16mm? Might as well just keep it all in the handy cam and just fucking like just make it that way. I don't know. Maybe they just felt like at that time like the movie's not gonna feel nearly as legit if we just use like a video camera the whole time.
I remember there's even some other part of the movie where he's just like, "What did you do with the map? I threw it away. Why'd you throw away the map? We're already fucking lost, so fuck it. I threw away the map." So it was like, wait, what? And he's like, "I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry." They all hug and cry for a minute. "We gotta get out of here, though. We will get out of here." And one of them goes the upper way. I don't remember. Yeah. I mean, I'm trying not to beat this movie down because I mean, looking back, thinking I'm back on the movie, I feel like an asshole now. It's not hearing myself out loud say it, but looking back on the movie, you got to give it credit for doing how much it did with so little. But on top of that, though, now knowing that it wasn't like a snuff film and all that, and know that it was like this, it was just this movie, it was just this little independent movie. You can totally tell. All right, that's just a bunch of their friends banging on the tent right there when shit's really
Yeah.
going down. Like, I really think just to give it just a little bit more, now that you know all that, because they were trying to advertise like these people were really dead, this really happened, which, I mean, even as a kid, I didn't really believe it, but I was like, maybe, but I didn't believe it then. What they should have probably done is like what we said earlier, just showing just enough, not everything, just enough,
Just
like
a little bit. I'm not asking for
something like some weird fucked up looking hand grabs the camera or something, just or a part of their
Or
face.
fucking somebody just like pulls their dick out and sticks in front of the camera, cuts the credits. Just like it was
That's
so
scary.
quick. You're like, what the fuck was that?
That's scary, right? Look at it. Look at it. Zoom in on it.
Shake the camera a bit. Yeah, there it is.
Yeah. Follow it. just
Like
swinging back
slaps
and
the
forth.
lens. Boop, 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 boop.
No, it just has that while the credits are rolling, just like tick tock, like scroll. Oh, speaking of TikTok, not TikTok dicks, but TikTok. Did you see the trailer for Pan?
Pan? Like
New Peter Pan? Yeah.
No, I didn't. Was fucking Peter Pan's dick like swinging across the screen?
No,
like
the TikTok reminded me. The TikTok reminded me. No, that'd make it weird. That'd make it weird.
Well, you're not talking about that stupid Peter Pan like fucking play movie that came on TV the other day.
Oh, fuck that bullshit. No.
That looks stupid as fuck. I was like, I hate when I was a kid. I remember like
Live television.
I remember watching that. Do you remember the one from the '60s? It was called Peter Pan, and people try to correct me, but I found other people that called it was called Peter Pan as well too, because somebody was smart going because that's a woman in there and not a man, so it's not Peter Pan. It could be Peter Pam.
It's one of those things because even though he's Peter Pan, in like traditionally when the guy wrote the play, it was intended to be like they always had women playing him.
It's because the notes are always so high that's why it's a woman. But it's just one of those ones. It so takes me out of the movie. Or like I remember watching that fucking play one from the '60s, and I was like, this is fucking bullshit. I'm like a 6-year-old kid saying this.
I'm curious about this new one. They have the Pan trailer. Actually, I cut you off. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, well, that play thing just used to piss me off because I'm like, this is so dumb, and I just feel like, why is Peter Pan a woman? Because I guess as a man, you're almost taking offense. You're like, I'm a kid, I don't know that many stories, but Peter Pan, I fucking look up to him, and now he's a woman. It's like, what the fuck? Is he gonna fuck Wendy? Like, what's going on?
I'll say
is this like some lesbian flick going on now? Like,
I remember you and me talked about like our potential Peter Pan movie. Like it was like the metal Peter Pan movie. Just opens
where it's just
up.
like the trailer, it's just like dun 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 dun. Peter Pan just coming down like a fucking meteorite, like out of space.
It's all like
Superman coming down.
We gotta build an army. I'm going to Earth. That's he flies away, and they're playing like through the bell tolls. He's just like flying through asteroids, punching through like the opening credits. He just goes down, gets like Wendy, the two brothers. This is like, well, there's a war coming. You're coming with me, and they're just like
he's like smoking a cigarette. He's got like a 5 o'clock shadow.
It's like he's not a boy, but for some reason he's in Neverland.
So does this Pan thing look pretty good though? Does it look decent?
I got mixed feelings on it. It looks interesting. Here's the thing. They're trying to make it big, grand, and epic, which I understand, but it's a prequel. And it's how Peter gets to Pan, how Peter gets to Neverland. And it shows he's like, living in some kind of like little, like in the 1800s, some kind of little Oliver Twist-esque like orphanage. A pirate ship flies by, kidnaps a bunch of kids, and takes them to Neverland, where they have a bunch of kids just mining in this thing. I'm like, okay. And like you see Hugh Jackman come out as like a pirate, like, okay, that's Hook. It's not Hook. It's actually Blackbeard. Blackbeard's the villain. And in this mining group, there's this young Indiana Jones guy. He's like, hey, my name's James Hook, and he's friends with Peter, and he's helping him get out of there. And then they meet Tiger Lily, who's played by the girl. I think it's played by the girl from The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, the new one. I think it's her.
Naomi Rapace or whatever her name is.
I believe
Prometheus.
No, the chick that's in the new Girl with the Dragon Tattoo.
Oh, the remake.
I believe it's her. Yeah, I think it's her. And then It just looks like this big grand scale adventure movie. It looks like there's a little bit of drama in it, but the one thing that it's kind of like I know that Hook and Pan have become bad guys. Maybe we'll see. Maybe if it's written really well, maybe that like because it's one of those things like when you're watching like Smallville, it's kind of it's kind of cool to see them as like friends at one point in time, Lex and Clark. But now, but eventually it's going to go bad. And watching this, I mean, it seems like now they're trying to make them, they're all friends at one point, but now they're going to become enemies. And, like, Hook is like some thin, good-looking guy who's kind of Indiana Jones-like. And
yeah, I will say, I don't like that type of storytelling where it's like, we live in this age now where bad guys are never bad guys anymore. They're always like, misuse or there was a time period I refer to in like 70s movies where bad guys would literally just be were evil as fuck, and they didn't need a reason. They were just full on evil, and that to me is scarier and more sinister and evil. Not like evil, like kind of like ha ha ha, I must take over the world. Not like one of those kind, but like that thing where it's like somebody can just fucking rape a chick and like have no fucking like reason. They just did it. You know what I mean?
Like the bad guy in for a few dollars more.
Yeah, exactly. Or fucking
villain. That's a fucked up villain.
Last House on the Left, the original one, where those people are just there's nothing in that movie explains you why they're evil. They're just full on evil people. There's other examples in it too. I guess you could take a lot. There's a lot of Clint Eastwood movies where like the villains are like that, where they're just evil fuck people, and you don't have to explain it. But nowadays, all the time, everybody's gonna be the tragic villain, and that to me is just. It doesn't make them nearly as evil because now you're kind of like it's like by sympathizing with them, it's kind of saying like, I see why he did what he did, but then it doesn't seem nearly as bad. It just seems like it's two different stories here. Where when they just do fucking evil shit. Now I'm not saying Captain Hook needs to be like that, where he's just like, I was evil from the beginning. I was fucking raping Peter Pan in his fucking mining outfit.
I like them green tats. Like scratching his balls with his hook.
Yeah, so does
he doesn't actually have a hook hand yet, so
he'll probably lose it in the movie.
Yeah.
But that's just something that's like, I don't know, it's just there's so many things nowadays where they always got to make the tragic villain, and that takes away from what makes a villain like a villain, in my opinion.
Well, I think that depending if you could tell it really well, if they could tell it really well and it doesn't seem so formatted and so generic, I think I'd like to see that. But I mean, most of the time though, it seems like something they're kind of changing something that was already there for this character. I think every so often it is kind of cool to see how the good guy became the bad guy. That's interesting once in a while, but now we see it so much.
Every movie's that nowadays. And I think that's the problem. Is that when was the last time you saw a movie where somebody was just full on evil and they didn't even question it whatsoever in the movie? Another perfect example is
Dark Knight.
Oh yeah, the Joker. Joker's always been good about that.
Example.
They've never. That's one of the best. Even like through the whole time, other than maybe a fucking Alan Moore's book, they've never ever really kind of like Joker's just bad, and that's just who he is. But Assault on Precinct 13, the original one, another perfect example of just people that are pure evil, and we don't have to give a fucking reason why.
I didn't get sprinkles on my ice cream. Bam!
Bam! Fucking shoots that little girl in the beginning. Like
I was laughing so hard in that part because I was not expecting it. I rewinded it like 3 times. Like I didn't get sprinkle. Bam, bam. I'm like, you got to watch this movie. You got to watch this movie. It's fucking hilarious.
It's such a good movie too. And see, that's the thing is just there's that time. That's why I think 70s movies were always that was the time when movies were more violent. More energy put in them for the bad guy, and you didn't have to synthesize with these guys. They just did evil shit. And then, like, hopefully they're going to get killed, in the long run, and, have what's coming to them.
One thing, like, ironically, the one thing that is a little, of all things, that kind of has me a little worried for the movie, all the natives, because everything looks all pretty cool visually. But the natives, they all look like their suits are put together with, like play school, preschool, like crafts or something like that. They got little pink cotton balls hanging from their hair and very bright, vibrant colors.
Are they trying not to make them look like Native Americans?
No, they're not trying to make them look like Native Americans. So,
because that was my one. I remember as a kid, I thought that was sort of like my one complaint to Hook, even though I love that movie a lot, is where the fuck are the Native Americans in that? And it's like it's that kind of weird thing that nowadays it's like they can't show the Native Americans in there. And it's
I'm
like
not
there's nothing offensive. It's not like the Native Americans are like the bad guys or anything like that.
I think it's a song "What Made the Red Man Red." I think that's the thing people found offensive, but
Yeah, I guess but it's like you don't have to sing that fucking song.
you don't gotta sing that song. Yeah, but I think they're just trying to like separate themselves for it. I'm not trying to defend it. I think that's just what their mindset. But on top of that, I think that it's one of those things like just I don't know if they're supposed to be the native. What the fuck is going on over there?
Sorry, I broke my cup.
Okay, you're just so angry. You're like
fucking not putting Native Americans in my Peter Pan.
no, like there is. I'm not sure like if there's supposed to be kind of like if the tribe, the Native Americans, or the Native Americans or the Lost Boys are part of the same tribe or what's up. But I mean, I'm curious about the movie, and like Pan is supposed to be like some prophesized fighter to kill Blackbeard. So I don't know really
like
how
like Legend of Zelda or something like that.
well, there's like this really
He's the chosen one. He's the hero. Like Peter Pan's just out there like fucking sleeping the whole time. Then next you know, it's like, boy, wake up and take this sword. You need to go save Princess Zelda. Oh wait, not Princess Zelda. Fucking the Native American girl. You go save her now.
Tiger Lily.
Yeah, Tiger Lily. There we go.
For some reason, Navi talks like Nick Nolte.
Yeah, let's go anyway. Would you see a Legend of Zelda movie if Navi was played by Nick Nolte?
Fuck you! Like it's just Nick Nolte like in a fair, like Nick Nolte like in a fairy costume, being hung on my string, like this way,
smoking a cigarette and drinking. Like he's just got a glass of whiskey and a cigarette the whole time.
It's just him like in a harness in a fairy costume. They're just kind of dragging him along. Like the most they did was CG out like the harness and the ropes, but you can totally tell he's just like unnaturally dangling there,
just dangling behind them. Like he's probably only about like 3 feet off the fucking ground. But
hey, listen. Listen! Listen! You're not listening to me! He's like hovering around, just like dangling in front of like, to kill this enemy, use your fucking sword!
You fucking asshole.
Oh, God.
I gotta sit down. You'll figure it out.
Is it lunchtime yet? He's not even saying his lines. We got Nick Nolte as Navi. We got to use this shit. I don't care if he doesn't say his lines or not. We're using this.
Perfect. But, well, that Pan movie sounds interesting. I don't know.
Look at the trailer. Let me know. I mean, visually, aside from the costumes of the Native Americans or the Lost Boys, where the fuck they're supposed to be, aside from that, visually it looks interesting, and I'm a little worried about the whole, like, Hook and Pan, but best buddies when they were younger thing, but we'll see how that pans out, so.
Hold on a second. I'm going to take a quick little break. I think this is the longest I've sat on the floor in a long time.
Yeah. Don't forget to edit out that 2 minutes of silence.
That's good. I'm glad you left it silent. It makes it easier to find because I just looked for it, go like, oh, there's a block of space. But
I was actually clapping my hands, my knees like this the whole time, just in case you forgot to edit it out. So that way we have some waiting music.
Waiting music.
No, because I usually are really good about editing out, like if there is some dead air for a while, like if one of us is to go in the restroom, you're good about editing it out. But there's that one where it was just 2 minutes of just.
Well, that was only there for like 1 day though.
Yeah, but they was just like.
So the only people that saw that was if you listened to it day one.
Oh really? Okay.
Because I fixed it like the next day because I saw it. I was like, oh fuck.
I was just sitting there, just scared, like, please don't fucking say anything.
Don't fucking whip your dick out and start beating it off on camera.
Just like, yeah, no.
Oh, he's back again. Oh, okay. You know what movie I saw actually the other day that not one of those ones that kind of came out not too long ago, but was The Protector 2.
Oh fuck! How was that?
It was one of those ones. It wasn't as good as The Protector 1.
I'm already disappointed. Okay, I just saw the look on your face. Well, how do I say this? You know, gotta break it easy for him.
It's not like it was bad, but it was kind of like, it's worth watching, but I'll say this, it's not worth necessarily maybe owning.
Did you buy it or rent it?
No, I rented it.
Okay.
So I'm kind of glad I rented it instead of bought it, I'll say that. Instead of
really? It's Tony Jaa. Tony Jaa punching shit. Usually it's fine.
And it's got RZA in it, too.
I like RZA.
RZA and Tony Jaa fight each other at the end.
Is RZA the bad guy?
Yeah, he's like the bad guy of the movie. And it's one of those ones where pretty much, okay, like the little elephant gets captured by fucking RZA, I want to say, or whatnot. And
the man and his elephant.
Yeah, it literally is. So it's still got that kind of similar thing where like, and then Tony Jaa's got to go out and fucking rescue him back.
Why does he want the fucking elephant? Why does everybody want this fucking elephant? I just thought it just.
No, it's like that elephant just fucking wanted like meat, I guess, or for something or another. I can't remember.
It's like a Pokemon battle. Like he's got to battle like RZA's elephant.
But the downfall of the movie is it had a lot of CG in it. It was literally, I think it's supposed to be Thailand's first fucking like 3D movie. I don't know if that's maybe the first one, but like you could totally tell that it was made for a 3D cinema. And I think for a martial arts movie, that's very unnecessary.
Like, was he like punching into the camera and stuff?
Yeah, there's parts where like there's a part where he's fighting like all these guys on like tiny ass little motorcycles. They were like running around on top of the rooftops, and he was fighting them left and right. And there was one part where they crashed through like a window. And it kind of comes into the camera, and he's like punching him in midair. And in a martial arts movie, CG it takes you out of the picture. You know, it's like there still is a lot of good fight scenes in it, and I think it's worth watching. But the CG is kind of weird. There's another part too where they're fighting in this building that's like, you know, no bigger than mine or yours room. You know, maybe like 10 by 10 feet or so wide, or maybe a little bit bigger than that actually. Fucking 20 by 20, and it's the fucking building's burning, and it's all this CG fire. But I'm just kind of sitting there going, basically the CG fire. It's like, there's no way you could have a fucking martial arts fight going in such a tiny room that's fucking on fire, filled with smoke. I'm sorry, but like, yeah, it's just like you can barely escape out of a building that's on fire, let alone fucking fighting somebody for like 5-6 minutes.
Yeah.
So it had some of these kind of moments like that. There was this really cool scene where like they're on this humongous bridge fighting in Thailand or whatever, and like they swing off, or Tony Jaa swings off from it, and that was apparently never done before in a movie. So it's like, that was kind of cool. And, you know, and Riz's part was cool. You know, he was kind of like leading this kind of like underground fighting ring and whatnot, and he wanted Tony Jaa to be in his unit. So I think that's why he stole his elephant. I'm already forgetting the movie. That's always the sign that the movie was just like, okay. You know, he's like, you want the elephant, so he's like, okay, that's how I'm gonna get you in here, and you'll be my #1 fighter, or whatever. And then and as I said, it had some cool fight scenes in it, but that Protector 1 is such a good movie. I literally look at that as like one of my favorite, probably top 3 favorite kung fu movies of all time. And the second one's just one of those ones like, it's decent, but
I almost bought it once I saw it. Just like,
it's kind of like, I guess I could say it's kind of like, you know, because that's kind of how Ung Bak was. Like the first one is so amazing, and the second one was good, but not nearly as amazing.
I still need to see Ung Bak 3, because Ung Bak 3 actually has a because Ung Bak 2 ends on like that Street Fighter, going back the like 1979 Street Fighter, you know, ends on that abrupt like ending. So I want to see what Ung Bak 3 is.
Yeah, I know. I started that movie one day, and then I felt like I just wasn't getting into it, because I watched about the first 15 minutes, and I was like, I'll get back to it. And then it was on TV or something like that, and then I just never did. But as I said, The Protector 2, it was worth watching, but it was just, I think the CG was just kind of weird. And then, you know, it still had a message going. It still kind of had that, you know, you felt bad for like people trying to steal this guy's elephant and whatnot.
a common problem we all have from people
in Thailand,
steal our elephants. Maybe in Thailand's a big deal. Maybe elephants.
Here's the thing: if they did the American version of The Protector,
Man and his dog.
It would be a man and his dog. It'd be like, boy and his dog. Somebody stole his dog. Now he's got to go shoot somebody up.
Go punch
probably punch you. It'd be like a Western or something like that. I don't know. That's really what it'd probably be. It'd be like a Western movie, and somebody's horse gets stolen, and he goes back to fucking find his horse.
Well, I wanted to see it. I didn't get around to it. John Wick was basically that. That Keanu Reeves movie. It was simply about like. Did you see the trailer for that?
I heard the Keanu Reeves interview or whatever on the Nerdist.
Yeah, basically it's about like it's such a simple story, but everyone talks about how good it was, and I wanted to see this movie. I'm gonna dread like the first 20 minutes of it or 10 minutes, whatever. But like this guy John Wick, Keanu Reeves, his wife died, and the only thing that he had left of his wife was this dog. They got together, or she got him this dog right before she died, and this car that he loved. Some douchebag, like mob son, mob boss son or whatever, goes and says, "Hey, I want your car." He says, "Fuck you, you're not getting my car." He talks a bunch of shit to him. So then he breaks into like Keanu Reeves' house, beats the shit out of him, kills his dog, and then takes the car. And it's not some big dog. It's a little kind of like cute little like I'm not sure if it's a puppy or just a small breed.
Poor defenseless dog, pretty much.
Yeah. Even I'd be sad seeing a big dog die, but just a smaller dog. Like, what the fuck can that do? You know,
not even a fighting chance. Let's just say that. Yeah.
Yeah. They kill the dog. I don't know if they show it brutally or what, but they kill the dog and they steal the car. And he's just like, "You took all I had. All I had was my dog and my car." You know. So then he just goes on a murder rampage trying to kill this guy. Like that guy used to be an ex-assassin. You just took him out of retirement. So.
Well, that sounds like a good movie, but there is always going to be that part where you're like, oh, the poor dog, you know. It's kind of like in The Protector. I do think that's one of the saddest movies I've ever seen. When he finally finds, like, in the first one, when he finds his elephant, like, that he fucking grew up with his entire life, and the stupid fucks, like in Australia or whatever, it's not the Australian people's fault, but the fucks that are living down there, it's just the bones and it's on fucking display and whatnot. And, there's that horrible restaurant that's taking all the exotic animals and endangered species, and people are paying big bucks to eat it.
And you see the huge fat guy like,
I'm such a Republican.
Yeah. Like, oh, I love the taste of it.
It's a place that Dick Cheney goes on the weekends, you know.
He's a VIP.
Yeah, exactly. He actually has stocks in this place. But still, it's like...
You're going to choose which baby eagle they get to kill and grind up right in front of you.
Well, they put the baby eagle, they put its head inside the middle of the table fucking while it's still alive, and you all get hammers and you hit it to death.
I believe it's there somewhere. Shit.
That's what they do.
I do believe, whatever it is, Dick Cheney goes to it. I'm sure he does.
I bet you he does. He probably is part owner of it. But still, that movie is like... that almost makes it sometimes, though, because it's so kind of like... touching that this guy, you know, he has to go to save his elephant. Even though it's so sad, it's the, you know, he still gets out there with the little elephant and whatnot, who fucking gets taken away in the second movie.
And he's actually he's to an extent saved by the bones of the dead elephant, which is kind of a nice...
Yeah, it's kind of a touching thing. That's what I mean, is that first Protector, it's just made so well. I mean, they got that scene where he's fucking run upstairs and it's one fucking take, and he's just fighting everybody off, and it's so fucking badass. And as I said, the second one has it, but the second one, there's a scene where they're all on, like, you know, I know they're in Asia, so they got these, like, little motorcycles. So when you're in America, you're used to seeing somebody who's got, like, a fucking 100 or 1,000 cc motorcycle driving by. But here, there's probably a bunch of guys, a bunch of, like, 80 cc motorcycles or something like that. And there's literally this...
Like a little runt bike or something?
Yeah, like, literally, yeah, but maybe not like the kiddie ones, but, like, you know, something that you would just kind of cruise around town at, like, 30 miles per hour. Almost...
I remember
equivalent of a moped, or not a moped, but a scooter.
Ong Bak 1, where they had, even though it's an awesome movie, they had that like it was almost like a golf car race or something like that they had in that one part.
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't golf cars, they're like small-ass cars they're jumping from like one... If it didn't have Tony Jaa like jumping car to car, kicking people off and shit, you know?
And he runs at the fucking window or whatnot and then like dodges... Or that's an ATV, I guess. But
Ong Bak, seriously, one of my
there's literally this part, though, where there's like this humongous like biker gang of guys on like tiny ass motorcycles or like just weak powered motorcycles, and Tony Jaa's on one and he's running away, and it's like the slowest fucking chase scene because these guys driving like 30 miles per hour downtown, and Tony Jaa's chased by like about a couple hundred of these guys, just like wee, looking at him, wee, just going along. And it's just like, is this exciting? Like, you know, in America, you know, everybody be on these like big motorcycles, like, you know, going around corners and shit, but it's like, if it's an independent
straight
movie,
shot, it's just a straight shot.
Well, yeah, he makes a couple turns.
Independent movie with Tony Jaa.
He could have been on a fucking bicycle and he probably would have been going faster. That's all I have to say.
What, he just did a leisurely stroll? I looks behind him. They still chasing me? Oh yeah, like, okay. Those are some. I guess they're sturdy engines. I'm a fast engine, sturdy. Good for them.
I might burn it out if I go past like 35 miles per hour.
I might actually get kind of strain and might actually get a little bit of a muscle burn if I pedal any faster. But I think I'm gonna go to leisurely pace. Just keep going with this.
So
like, no real sense of danger at any point.
So it had some like weird, like, I'm not too sure if that was supposed to be funny or if like just as an American I find that funny. But I don't know. It was okay. But you know what? There was actually this other movie I saw that actually surprised me at actually how good it was. And it was A Million Ways to Die in the West. You know, that came out in summertime.
I actually wanted to see that. How was that? It was actually good.
I kid you not, that was pretty darn fucking good. And I know that movie got a lot of like mixed reviews. So that kind of made me wonder. Because it's kind of that thing where, you know, Family Guy was something I liked as a kid. And I liked those first couple seasons. And when I watch it now, you know, I'll still laugh here and there. But it's almost kind of like just a little too stupid for me. I just don't feel like I'm getting anything out of it. I don't feel like I'm really learning. It just feels purely entertainment. So that's why I'm not really a big fan of both Family Guy and American Dad. Like, if you really had to ask me this day and age, are you a fan of it? I'd be like, it's okay. You know, I like those first couple seasons, as I said. I thought those were, you know, pretty darn creative. But nowadays, it's kind of, you know, I'm not saying like, you know, you watch it. There's
it's
a few
an autopilot.
It's almost like an autopilot thing. It reminds you of something you watch, like if you're about ready to go to sleep or something. Mm-hmm. But this Million Ways to Die in the West was fucking fantastic. It felt like, I guess, because here's the thing. The comedy was almost second. The story came first. And I think that did it really well, because they had a very good kind of like drama story of like pretty much what's his name?
Seth MacFarlane.
Seth MacFarlane was kind of this guy who's like the sheep farmer, and he lived in the Wild West, but he wasn't really a cowboy or anything like that. He was just an average kind of Joe who was intelligent and just kind of observed everything, And then he had his buddies and whatnot. And the whole point was just like, dude, everything fucking kills us out here, There's gunfights, brawls, deadly animals, diseases, and just random ass shit happens all the time. So it's like everything is out to fucking kill you, and that's sort of just kind of like there's always little jokes along the way too. And the whole point is he's with this chick who's kind of like pretty much a snooty rich one. And then she goes after Neil Patrick Harris because he's the rich guy in town. And then he finds this other chick who's the wife to Liam Neeson's like character, who's just the evil guy of the movie.
What's her name? Everyone loves her. Big actress, forgot her name. She's in Prometheus.
Charlize Theron.
Yeah, Charlize Theron.
So he's kind of hanging out with her, and he doesn't know she's related or she's married to Liam Neeson. But it's more just got this nice kind of story, and then it kind of explained the times, and then filled with these jokes, and pretty much all the jokes are good. Like there was nothing I could really complain about in the movie. I was laughing.
So as a Western fan, it was pretty good.
As a Western fan, you'll enjoy it. It's got kind of little nods here and there. It even has a funny part too, where he's at nighttime and he's kind of walking along, and there's this flashing light inside a building. He fucking walks in, and it's fucking Doc from Back to the Future, and he covers up the DeLorean. He's like, just doing a weather experiment here.
Is that all it was? Was it actually Christopher Lloyd?
It was actually Christopher Lloyd and everything. And they just kind of like poke fun at sort of like Western things and just different stuff in it. But that one I actually highly recommend. I really fucking enjoyed it. After that Protector 2 kind of let down, this movie kind of brought me back up.
Of all things to kind of like bring up and then bring you back down.
I know, but still, I was pretty darn impressed. Definitely worth checking that one out. Okay. And I think the only reason I mainly would talk about it is for the fact that I felt like the movie kind of came out and then nobody really saw it.
I forgot about it.
I didn't meet anybody that saw it, And yeah, as I said, I kind of forgot about it. And I just saw it come up on my Netflix thing. I'm like, oh, fuck, I should check that out. Mm-hmm. And maybe the only complaint, it's a little long. It's 2 hours long. Mm-hmm. It feels like a movie that you could probably cut maybe about 10, 15 minutes out. And, maybe the pacing would just kind of work well. It's almost like a 4-act movie. It has 1, 2, 3 acts, and then there's a 4th act in it. Oh, okay. So that makes it feel a little bit long for a comedy. But as I said, sometimes that's the kind of like nitpicky. They like complain about the length of something. Sort of like Street Fighter. It's like, it could be shorter, but I'm not going to nitpick because they gave me too much.
Yeah, exactly.
But, yeah. Good funny times. Fucking Protector. Little motorcycles. Big chase.
I want to see
Protector 3. Little motorcycles. Big chase.
I want to see it, but I'm glad I didn't buy it because I saw that and I almost just went and bought the movie.
I almost did the same thing too, and I was like, maybe I should save that. It's like $15. That's not bad, but do I want to spend that much money? And I was kind of glad I did. And I'm not gonna. If it was a $5 movie, I'd say go right ahead and buy it. But yeah.
Tony Jaa is apparently going to be in the next Fast and Furious.
Then the 7th one?
Yeah, the one that's coming out, whatever one is.
Huh. And they didn't put. Was he in the trailer?
He was in the trailer, but I heard somewhere that he's going to be in it, and there's some casting things that fell through, but he's going to be in the next one, I hear. So,
well, has he been in an American movie yet?
You know what? I don't think he has been in an American movie yet. I want him to be in. I really think there's a bunch. I think he's good enough to be like the next Jackie Chan or something like that. So.
No, I literally look at him as like, if there was Bruce Lee, then there's Jackie Chan. Next we had Jet Li. I think Tony Jaa's the next big, huge martial arts guy.
Yeah. I definitely see that.
I think he could carry it. I'm not too sure how well he speaks English, but
just don't give him an English speaking role then. Make him just
just make him throwing punches. Fucking who cares? Jet Li doesn't have the grandest like.
Make him just play.
Don't care.
Make him just play like basically like Link. He doesn't talk. He's just the quiet hero who just punches shit.
Yeah, and just fights things. He's lazy all of a sudden, and he's called to duty, and he has all this skill.
He has Nick Nolte, like fairy Nick Nolte, like listen.
Okay, well, you got it the first time, right? I'm gonna go sit down.
Tony Jaa wearing like a Keebler's Elf outfit. Like Tony Jaa is Link, Nick Nolte is Navi.
That'd be awesome. I would love to see that.
I like how we're great at casting these adaptation movies that probably no one else wants to see.
No, but we'd love to see it. There's people out there who want to see it. Come on. Who doesn't want to see Nick Nolte before he dies play fucking like Navi in the live action Legend of Zelda movie?
Yeah, we'll like how like Kevin Smith had like #WalrusYes. We'll have like Nick Nolte Navi, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, so if you want hashtag Nick Nolte Navi, yes.
Do it.
And if you want to know one, you can do that too. But
Yeah.
nobody cares about your negativity.
Yeah. Don't bring that. Don't bring
The whole point of our podcast is to keep negativity away, but in a funny way.
Complain about shit we don't like, but still.
Yeah, we mostly complain about people that complain. It seems like more than anything else. That's what I notice. That's what pisses us off a lot. It's like that guy was fucking complaining about that movie. Like, what the fuck? That was a great movie, you know?
Yeah.
What do you mean they didn't like that fucking game? Like, what the fuck's wrong with them? We should go down there and fucking slap them and just be like, you disrespectful motherfucker. Like, come on, they're giving you fucking free shit and you don't like it.
Yeah.
It's I always feel like that on Newgrounds. I always feel like I'm like the defender of Newgrounds because I watch other people's videos and I'm always like, why be negative, guys? Like, why? Come on. People are making fucking free entertainment. You don't have to pay for it. If you don't like it, then don't fucking say anything. But
being negative.
I guess because people are just not raised by the right type of mother anymore. They all got their fucking 80s crackcore mom and
80s crackcore mom. No, we got like I like how here's my thing. I mean, you don't really have to make something to have an opinion or to dislike something. My thing is when people are so picky and so like snobby about it. Like I remember seeing one guy, and this isn't because he like attacked us, but I was just curious. Like he left like a review on one of our Drunk Batman videos. And he said like, this is okay. I like this part and this part, but there's nothing that special about it. But this part's good. You know, I'm just like, whatever.
It was a mixed one. It was kind of like
half and half.
You like it, but you don't like it, but it almost feels like it's weighing kind of in this weird.
It was a backhanded compliment, basically.
Yeah, it was kind of like I'm gonna slap you, but then I'm gonna pick you up from the ground.
But then I clicked on his thing, and it's one of those guys. I don't even remember his name or anything, but it was one of those things like didn't create nothing, had nothing created whatsoever, and I read his profile. Like I don't really create things, but I do love.
I thought you literally just said profile.
Maybe I did. Profile.
got my profile up, guys.
Profile. Upload everything at Applebee's. Pizza shooters. Jello shots. Yeah, no.
Profile.
No, he actually was on there. He just said like, I have very high taste and very high standards and this and that. It's just like, my thing is kind of like, I wouldn't pride yourself. I mean, I'm not just going off this guy in general, but like, I guess just that thought process in general, just like how people pride themselves. Like I got very high taste because I'm very judgmental towards what other people make. It's just like, I mean,
and that's supposed to be a good thing. Yeah,
it's one of those things. Like if you paid money for something and you didn't like it, okay, whatever. But when it's free shit and if you want to actually have some real like criticism, then all right. But it's when people don't have any real criticism, but they feel like that criticism is somehow like cool or makes them clever or something. That's what really annoys me.
Or that thing they almost feel like they're doing the world a favor by being negative.
Yeah, and
like,
I
don't get this. This is horrible. Don't even waste your time. It's like I always feel like people like that. It's just like no. It's just I don't know. It's like as I said on Newgrounds, I'm always there. Like if I see somebody like watch somebody's video, and maybe it's not the greatest video, but then I look and it's like why are they getting a bunch of fucking negative comments? And it says like oh this is my first video. It's like dude, it's their first fucking video. Like who are you to fucking you make your first video, and if it's better than theirs, then maybe you can throw the first fucking stone. But if it's not, then fuck the face off here.
And then like, then you kind of look at the people that do talk the most negative shit, and they're usually people who don't. Sometimes they do, but they're usually people who don't have anything on there in the first place. And like, how often do you see like someone like, I mean, well, he has Game Grumps and he like makes fun of shit on that. But how often do you see like Ego Raptor going on and attacking like other animators? You know.
Yeah, you know, you don't see that, like, you don't see fucking Ego Raptor leaves. Oh, Ego left me a comment on Newgrounds. It's just like, this shit is fucking stupid. Might as well get the noose out right now and hang yourself before you go any farther in life. Yeah. Signed, Ego Raptor.
But yeah, like, you got one. He'll like make fun of something on Game Grumps, but it's, you know, I think that's one of those things where even though if I don't always agree, I think that right there, it's more of like, that's more like they're just stretching for a reaction, whether you like that or not. But as far as actual people, independent people creating stuff, usually you don't see bigger people who are good at it attacking other people.
Yeah, you don't see Steven Spielberg like showing up and like rating your YouTube videos like, this is fucking some bullshit here.
Here's a real fucking movie. Leaves like a link to Jaws or
Jaws. It's like, fuck you.
Schindler's List. You know?
Well, strange enough, I'll say this, like, really, if Steven Spielberg came up and told me that like my shit was stupid, like that's at least I'd go, okay, well at least he made something. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, it's just.
But I think it's one of those ones like I see that on Newgrounds, and then I'm like, when people get that and like they get all these fucking bullshit things. I'll put a comment on there and be like, dude, that video was a great first try. I mean, like, it's only going to get better from here on out. And I'll leave some fucking positive remarks because you know what? That's what's going to make that person go to the next level. That's what's going to make them become who they're going to be. If you keep giving them fucking shit like that, then they're going to fucking go in their closet with the fucking noose and that'll be the end of them.
That's
maybe not,
the fact
not everybody, but
some folks, but not everybody.
You know, they always say like, never, judge criticism. I always think of it like if you ever get a bad review, who cares? Some people take it very personally. I don't take it personally. I just always think, why does people have to go out there and like put these negative comments on people's videos? So like when I see that on other people's videos or anything like that, like I'll put something nice on it. Because you know what? As I said, it's only going to get better no matter what you do in life if you just keep practicing at it. Well, so if the video doesn't look the best or your game doesn't play perfect right away, who cares? You'll get there.
I think there are some things where, I mean, I understand criticism to an extent. To an extent, I get criticism, and I think we need it to an extent. My thing is just when people are just so snobby about it, yet they have nothing to offer. Like, for instance, there are some critics I listen to once in a while. I take it with a grain of salt because I don't always agree with them, but sometimes, like, okay, I see where you're coming from. I'll, like, check them out, and I don't always agree with them. But I can ultimately kind of see it from an extent what they're trying to say. I think that's how most good critics are. But every so often you come across a critic where it's just like, at the end of the day, though, it wasn't you that had to make the choice. It's kind of easy to sit back and judge it after the fact. And though you can say what you feel is wrong with it, and that can be taken, and you can elaborate from there, it's not a greater skill than actually doing it. That's my opinion. I think that it is something that's needed, but don't think of yourself as better because it's not a great I think the movie Chef actually dealt with criticism in a good way because it's ultimately kind of like at first there's a food critic in the movie, you hate that food critic. Later it comes around, it says like, well, maybe he didn't need to do it that way, but he's not really that bad of a guy and he actually can be reasonable. I think that's a really positive way to show criticism rather than how they usually do in movies where it's just some condescending prick or where you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I feel like there's always a difference between criticism and then being negative. It's like the negativity where you're literally bashing somebody just to bash them. It's not like by pretty much by putting somebody down, you're not helping them out. I guess that's kind of how I feel. So when I see that on some of people's videos on Newgrounds and whatnot, I always see Newgrounds because you see it on YouTube too, but Newgrounds is always sometimes like some of the worst of that.
Newgrounds is horrible because it's just a bunch of there's a lot of teenagers on there. The thing is, here's the thing I think about Newgrounds. Most of the people that actually animate and post things on there, they're people from probably their late teens to like somewhere in their early 30s.
People, the 40s even.
The people that watch it are ultimately somewhere from
10 to 20,
preteens to early 20s, and a lot of I think somewhere from preteens to like probably 16 or 7, probably preteens like 16, I'd say, are a lot of the shitty kind of like it's not made for me, fuck it, man,
Well, it's the judgmental age, and I think that's where a lot of that comes from. Because generally, an older person probably go like, "Oh, that was a good video," or if they didn't like it, they probably wouldn't say anything because they're older and they understand respect and kind of But as I always say, it's like if a way that you critique somebody's videos, you point out the positives, and then you can also point out the negatives too. You don't just fucking like bash the whole thing because it wasn't your thing, and the animation wasn't fucking up to par with fucking Disney and shit like that. Like, I think it's just that ungratefulness. But
I mean, it's my thing is like you don't gotta like something. It's just one of those things. Like, it's just when you consistently just watch it for the sake of being angry. And you don't really, you don't have any risk. It's like it's free. It's free. What are you gonna fucking complain about?
Oh yeah, that's almost it more than anything else. And I guess I've come to a simple way of kind of reviewing things in my life. It's either I enjoy it, and if I don't like it, it wasn't made for me. That's all I say.
That's a good way of going about it. That's a good way of going about it.
It's the simplest way to go about things. There's no negativity involved. And then every once in a while, you get your fucking Wreck-It Ralph syndrome.
Where you just don't like it.
Well, yeah, and that's almost where you've just been you felt like you've been personally offended, and that will happen every once in a while. Because I always say there's always gonna be something out there that just fucking bugs the shit out of you, and no matter what, that's okay. I think we all are allowed to have something that we really just don't like. But whenever you hate everything and you want to be fucking negative towards it, fuck that.
Yeah.
But yeah, fucking positivity, man. Fucking free the world.
Yeah.
Give somebody a fucking open hand.
I'm out of energy.
Hug.
I'm out of energy. Like, yeah, positivity.
Yeah, positivity, man. Fucking positivity, man.
I want some food.
Fucking Bring the Who on, man. Fucking shit.
Need some
positivity. Fucking. I'm gonna punch somebody if I don't get some positivity right now.
I'm so positive something's gonna get punched in this fucking room.
But that's probably a good place to leave off at. Make sure to check out oldmanorange.com for more podcasts, movies, animations, art, and some other stuff that we have on there. Until then, I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
I'm Ryan Dunigan.
See you some other time.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Old Man Orange podcast. Check out our website at oldmanorange.com for even more podcasts, cartoons, videos, music, and more. Send us an email at oldmanorangepodcast@yahoo.com. Be sure to subscribe, share, rate, and review us on iTunes, Podomatic, or any of the other fine sites we might be located on. If you want to help out even more, click on the Amazon or GameStop links on our webpage before you make any purchases there. It won't cost you a penny, but it sends us a little something our way. Thanks again, and tune in next week for more Old Man Orange Podcast.